Salute to everybody, man. We have a special treat for everybody in the chat, man. It would be awesome. Please be respectful in the chat. Please show my guests all the respect that you can. Be on your best, be on your best etiquette because we have the legendary, the Hall of Fame trainer and coach Ronnie Shields will be joining the show in about 30 minutes. So please keep the disrespect and the insults in the chat to a minimum. This ain't about anything else. This isn't about what you have on another channel. If you support me, please support me without disrespecting each other in the chat. I would really appreciate it. And also ask some good questions, please, because Coach Ronnie, I'm gonna open it up for guys to, people to ask their questions and, the family to ask the questions to Coach, as long as they're respectful and on a respectful term, because Coach is a legend, man. He's taking out his time. So yeah, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I appreciate everybody that's in here already. My boy Just Blaze, my boy E from the Six, my man Sean, my man Bacon and Eggs, my man Batin, my man Lucci, Barbara Choice, my boy JT, David Gordon Lane, Team Batman Boxing. Yeah, man, we have a special treat, man. I can't wait to get to it. Because people know I talk to Coach Ronnie, but he's never been on my platform. I've never even asked him to be on the platform. It's just amazing, man. Sometimes I take for granted being around like guys like Coach Ronnie or even Nonito because, I don't like asking people I don't like asking Coach and Nito and people for things. But yeah, man, sometimes, I see that, these guys know so much about the sport, you know what I mean? And we love this sport. So I don't like arguing with people, man. I just want to build the sport for the right reasons, because I love boxing for the right reasons. And I love not just the fighters that's at the top, not just the fighters that are undefeated, not just the fighters that, have a great fighting style. I like fighters that have a great story as well. I like the story that comes with boxing. I like what the theater of the unexpected. I like that boxing, one punch can change a fight in certain divisions. I just love that, people can change their lives in a day with the sport of boxing, where a guy could be an underdog, a guy could be a journeyman and come from nothing. And then all of a sudden, now they're on top of the world in one fight where they were counted out, may have been mistreated, may have been dissed in the media, may have been turned on by boxing fans or boxing writers, and all of a sudden make a statement, in one night. That's what boxing is about. Boxing is about guys like Coach Ronnie, who after his career didn't even want to really be a trainer. Most people don't know that. He was hesitant about being a trainer at first. And with guys like Georgie Benton, legends like Lou Duva were around to, try to pique, coach's interest. And people like that sometimes you don't walk into your calling. Sometimes you get a push. Sometimes it's people around you that are placed in your life for a reason to help you get a push, to push you or nudge you into the role in which into your purpose. And that's that might be why some people put people in your lives. So yeah, it's just amazing how things happen in life. And Coach is a living testimony to having, Mr. Savannah, Georgie Benton, Mr. Legendary Lou Duva, all these people. Coach, had a crazy amateur career. He wasn't just a great trainer, but he was also a great amateur. He also had fought the likes of Sugar Ray Leonard, fought the likes of Tommy Hearns. People don't realize that he fought all these guys. So, and he also trained some of the best. So yeah, man, just make sure your questions, ask some questions that maybe he hasn't been asked before, instead of just necessarily what's happening right now. Ask him about, the history, him dealing with guys like Pernell Whitaker or Evander Holyfield or Mike Tyson or David Tua. He dealt with Vernon Forrest, all these guys, man. And it's, Pernell Whitaker is one of the most talented guys to ever lace up a pair of gloves. So, yeah, man, shout out to my man Oscar Prince. Shout out to my boy H Money. I'm gonna ask about my boy. Everybody knows my boy H Money is crazy about David Morrell. So, every time he comes to the gym, I'm there because I love David Morrell. He's one of my favorite fighters, and I know H loves him. So it's just like we're a family, me and H Money. So, everybody in this chat, like I look up, I love y'all. So y'all always support me, and it's a real support system. And I look up, I appreciate everybody that comes through. For Coach Ronnie, and I think it's gonna be great, man. I think because it's a fact of fiction. Then TEOFIMO came back today, and I saw a little snippet of his interview. Boxing is heating up, man. Devin Haney is either going to fight Kambosos or he's going to either try to get a big name in there, a bigger name than Kambosos. But if not, fighting Kambosos again for undisputed is a great fight. I mean, look at the sport we have. We have, this weekend, Danny Garcia, Jose Benavidez, Danny Garcia's first fight at 54. We have a young, great fighter, going to be a great contender in Gary Antoine Russell at 140. So yeah, man, it's he has an opportunity to cement something. With Josh Taylor dropping belts here, we don't know what his next move is. Maybe Gary Antoine will soon move in the line for a vacant title, just like Alberto Puello's fighting for the WBA. We have Jose Cepeda versus Jose Ramirez for the WBC. So I mean, boxing is heating up. 140 is an underrated division. You have Ben Rodriguez on September 17th as the co-main. This guy went from taking a Carlos Cuadras fight on short notice to being a co-main on one of the biggest cards of the year, Triple G versus Canelo. And I think he's gonna. I really believe he could steal the show. I mean, it's crazy, man. Shout out to my man OTB, Aaron Pryor as well. Yes, sir. Georgie Benton was the king of the Philly show. Absolutely. Shout out to my man Warwick Radio, Joe. Thank you for help. Thank you for always, thank you for always showing so much love to Coach Ronnie and building up that trust and making him trust me. Joe, appreciate it. My man Peter Von Ark says Antoine should get a title shot pretty soon. Yeah, I believe he should, man, because you have a great fighter, man. And I think that, him beating a guy like Postal, being the first to stop him, whether you agree with the stoppage or not, I mean, being the first guy to really stop Victor Postal, and every fight has ended by knockout. But also this guy, Gary Russell, improves every fight too. It's not just that he's knocking everybody out. He's also showing technical improvements in every fight. He's also becoming a little bit more patient. He's also, setting more traps, because certain, like, and maybe 5 or 6 fights ago, if you watched him, he wasn't necessarily setting the traps that he's setting now. So you have a guy that's really improving every fight, and he seems like he's a quick learner. And so you have a guy that maybe you could show something one time, and here you go. You know what I mean? He can execute that. What's up, Just Blaze? What's up? Shout out to Queen Unique Don. Shout out to you, Unique. But yeah, it's all love for everybody. I just wonder what people said about TEOFIMO, man. I like some of what he said today. I like that he said he likes to entertain and things like that. But I was also troubled as a TEOFIMO Lopez fan. And everybody knows I am, as a TEOFIMO Lopez fan, to still say you won the fight. I just wish he can get to some closure on that and accept defeat. Even if he felt like he won the fight, you can't. I mean, in the box rec, in the books, it's considered a loss, and you have to move on from that. You have to get some closure. You can't keep, when something doesn't go your way, you can't keep looking for ways to take away self accountability. And that's something that I think is missing right now in boxing, self accountability. And that's what I liked about Kambosos when he lost to Haney. He didn't make any excuses. And a lot of times, even Mark Maxeo, when he lost to Ray Vargas, he said, man, the better man won. So you see a lot of that sometimes. You see, and that's what I like to see in the sport. Even if there was things that people don't know, and even if there was things that that people could use as a true reason to why, as a factor, the truth remains that a loss will never be removed from there. So as long as the loss is on the record books, brother, there's nothing that we can do. And you lost. You chose to get in that ring, and like he said, that was the best decision I've ever made. So accept what came with it. Win, lose, or draw, accept what came with it. And I think that's what people kind of lose sight of in the sport. I think people don't understand, man. Being a great sportsman comes with it. And Devin Haney and Kambosos, even after the fight, they had a lot of words. But Devin Haney still gave him his credit. Devin Haney still up until now gives him his credit, and so does Bill Haney. So does Uncle Bill Haney. He gives him a lot of credit. So you see guys that exemplify. Even AJ, when he lost to Ruiz and Usyk, he didn't make any excuses. He didn't talk about his sparring story. He didn't talk about what happened with the rumors of him getting knocked out in sparring. He didn't mention any of that. Other people mention it, but AJ didn't take it and run with it anywhere. And I feel like that's the sign of accountability. That's the sign of self-responsibility. And that's the sign of closure. That's the sign of growth. that a lot of fighters may need in the sport. And I think that, and I see that, and I see that with certain guys. So yeah, I mean, even with Ugas didn't make any excuses when he lost to Spence. He didn't say I had a bad training camp. He didn't say I was sick. He didn't say anything. And we don't know. A lot of fighters go into the ring unhealthy. And that's the thing. T.O. had doctors proof. He has notes. He has this, but that doesn't erase what happened. And no matter what, if and that's what I'm gonna ask Coach Ronnie too. I'm gonna ask Coach, about the health of a fighter and when do you overrule when a fighter wants to fight, and when do you tell a fighter nah? When do you save a fighter from themselves? Because that's the truth. What's up, Uncle Jay? Yeah, yeah, Ben Adams, he is. But at least you know what, Ben? At least, hey, chill, Danny. But Josh Taylor is gonna run it back with Jack Catterall, though. I mean, even though he didn't seem like he would, and even though he made a lot of said that nobody can convince him that he lost that fight, at least he's willing to run it back by any means. So, so what's up, my man Robert Sanchez? Salute, yeah, salute to my big bro H Money in the building, man. Salute to my big brother, one of the pioneers of this stuff, man. So salute to H Money. Salute to my boy Ba10 Chicago in the building. Salute to my brother Jeff Lucietta. Salute to my uncle Jonathan Simon. Salute to OD Houston, Texas. Yeah, Chris Colbert when he lost, no excuses. Absolutely. But he did say he didn't feel well. He said it wasn't my night. But one thing that I liked about T.O. that I didn't like about Chris Colbert is that TEOFIMO, even though he went for broke, he tried to knock Kambosos out in the 10th round. Chris Colbert packed it in. You don't have to make excuses, but when you pack it in as a fighter, I look at you different too. So if you look at T.O. different, I look at Chris Colbert a little different too, because I felt like he quit that night. And when I see a fighter submit or quit, it kind of worries me. I don't know if they can ever get back mentally to that place where they didn't quit. And that's why I know he's gonna saying that he wants to fight Frank Martin. And I believe I believe him. I believe that he does, and I believe that he wants to get back in there. Fighters are warriors, man. These guys want to get back in the ring, and the ego. You fighters have a lot. You have to believe in yourself to be a top notch. To be where they're at. You have to believe in yourself even more so than the average person. Like the self-confidence you have to fight in a sport where it's a lonely sport, to get in that ring and where somebody's trying to inflict damage on you, and the level of self-belief you have to have is slim, is second to none. So everything depends on you. So shout out to my boy. What's up, Khaled? What's up, AO56? Yes, sir. New York in the building. My man Ralphie. The commission can stop the fight if the fighter's not fit. Yeah, but some things like that, because some things get missed in the commission test. Like, they sometimes they just do a physical, and I'm gonna ask Coach Ronnie about that too. Like, what goes on sometimes, when you go see the doctor before the fight, because certain things aren't detected till after the fight, so it doesn't always work like that. But yeah, shout out to my boy Pierre Luis. Shout out to you, brother. But yeah, so for me, I don't know. Oscar Valdez didn't make excuses. Yeah, shout out to Oscar Valdez, and he's a warrior, man. Miguel Pagel, shout out to him. Shout out to all these guys. Carlos Quadras didn't make excuses for losing to Bam. Sor Rungvisai didn't make excuses for losing to Bam. So yeah, I mean, you just have to look at these things. I like how Anthony Joshua handled it. I like how even Andy Ruiz handled it. He said I was fat. It is what it is. So I just feel like boxing is at a place right now where we need guys to take over as far as personality wise. I feel like we need guys to take over. I feel like we need guys. I feel like we need these young faces like Boots Ennis, like Devin Haney, like Shakur Stevenson, like Keyshawn Davis, like Big Baby Anderson, like Shoo Shoo Carrington, like David Morrell. These young guys like Virgil Ortiz, like Ban Rodriguez, to make the fights that we all want to see. These guys are hungry to be legends, and I'm starting to see that the new wave, the young guys, 25 and under, are starting to make themselves and starting to make it very apparent that they want to be the best. Facts, EP. Shout out to my girl Rissa. Salute. But yeah, man, Boots Ennis wants all the smoke, and when you look at him and you see him in person, you can definitely tell this kid is eats, sleeps, and breathes boxing. It's nothing else. It's nothing else that makes Boots Ennis happier than getting in that ring. Virgil Ortiz as well. First one to get into the gym, the last one to leave. David Morrell has a work ethic. So you start to see Bam Rodriguez, first one in, last one to leave. You know, these guys are built. These guys have character, and I think that, like Coach Ronnie always says, that a fighter's character shows in the ring when things get tough, when adversity hits. So, yeah, man, I'm starting to see how things are going in the sport, and man, I would love to see fighters that, you know, I would love to see the changing of the guard, and that's why I want Bud Crawford and Errol Spence to happen so much, because I know what happens after that. To me, that's a closing of a chapter. Once Spence and Bud fight, or at 147, that's closing of our era, the era that we saw with the Bud and the Spence era, and then we have the 30 somethings. Let the 20 somethings take over that division. When you have the Stanionis's, the Boots, the Virgil Ortiz's, the Conor Benns, you have all these guys, Rashidi Ellis's, you have these guys. I mean, and that's what I want to see. I want to see that in every division. I want to see the Benavidez's and the Morels and the Plants and all these guys mix it up. You know, I want to see Bivol versus Better B fight for the undisputed fight. I feel like that's where we're going. And so, you know, when you look at stuff like that, man, let you guys come on before Coach Ronnie comes. So anybody want to come on real quick, you know, hit the link, brother. You know what I'm saying? I just been on a tangent because I haven't been on it so long. I've been getting so frustrated, you know. I just been getting so frustrated, man, because with boxing, I feel like we're arguing about what fighters do and what fighters make more than what they do in the ring. And that's the way the business of boxing has become. It's so out there. And we all have become financial advisors, and to the point where we're starting to cloud and get in the way of our passion, which is loving the fight game, which is loving boxing. Yeah, man. Shout out to you, Bob 10. Yes, sir. I'm aiming for 3K. Nah, Virgil's fighting at 147 against McKinson on August 6th, bro. And Barbara Choice, what does everyone think about Maurice Hooker versus Blair Cobbs? I think that's a good fight for Maurice Hooker. I think that's a good fight for Blair. They both coming off of losses. Yeah, I mean, and Blair Cobbs is going to sell it. So yeah, I mean, he was supposed to be the co-main on the fight. On the Virgil Ortiz card before Virgil got sick anyway. So I mean, this is just like to me, it's a remade card. It's the same card that happened to happen. I mean, that happened to, you know, get scrapped because of Virgil getting sick. But now Virgil's fighting McKinson. When they really reached out, and you know what, and I can't knock Virgil Ortiz for this. They reached out to Avanesian first, and what I heard that David Avanesian and Virgil Ortiz had agreed to a fight, and it just didn't had agreed to certain terms, and then David Avanesian pulled out. But I heard that Virgil Ortiz was content on fighting Avanesian, which I think more people would respect the fight than McKinson, but that's not on him. That's not on Virgil. Virgil definitely wanted to fight David Avanesian. Yeah, Blair the Flair, can't wait. My boy says Compa is not a cherry pick. That's disrespectful. Cool guy. So this is the thing. Off of a loss, do you guys think that TEOFIMO should have fought a guy like, I don't know, Jose Cepeda or Arnold Barbosa, or do you give him any credence for you know, give him any, you know, opportunity to come back and fight a guy like Pedro Campa? But he's still undefeated, but hasn't fought the level of competition or opposition that maybe Jose Cepeda or Jose Ramirez has fought, or Arnold Barbosa. Do you think that do you guys give Tio a pass for that, coming off a loss and moving up to 140? Do y'all give him one fight to get himself acclimated or not? My boy Jeff says Boots looks to have a high ceiling. Kid looks great. Absolutely. My man David Gordon Lane says, I think not only do the fans need to focus on the boxing, but that applies equally to boxers. Yeah, David. That's what I'm saying. Boxers have to focus, and boxers have to, you know, keep us focused on the fight game, not more so about the politics, and make politics so evident and so out there in the media, so out there in the public. And I think that's something that, even, you know, just for example, Errol Spence said me throwing numbers out in the media has caused the rift, and I apologize for that. I remember in that interview with I believe Brian Custer, he said, yeah, you know, when you do that, when you have an interview with a certain guy, and when you have a fight that you want to make, and you start throwing numbers out in the media, you can kind of get under a fighter's skin, or you know, kind of bother the ego, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to look like a lesser man in public. Nobody wants to look like they're taking less or getting put in a position where they have to take less. So that's just what I see. What's up, Big Sean? Talk to me.
YB, what's going on, mate?
Big brother, how you doing?
I'm all blessed. Yourself?
Oh man, awesome, bro. Great day to talk boxing. What's up, Q? How you doing, bro? Thank you, Barber Choice. Thank you for telling everybody to smash the like button. My man Callis said, "What do you think about the T.O. interview? You still ain't talk about it. I feel like Top Rank always gives them sympathy." No, I'm gonna be honest. Like I told you, bro. Some things I like that T.O. said, but it was some things it was him saying that he still won. I didn't like that. Now him saying that he's coming back to entertain and that him losing, he learned about everybody in his circle, and I felt like that was real, and I felt like that was honest, and I felt like T.O. One thing about him is he's a genuine kid. I felt like when you listen to him talk, he believes everything he said, and you can call it delusion, but I feel like he believed everything he said in that interview or that clip of that interview. I didn't see the whole thing. I don't know when they're going to release it, but from the
Yeah,
clip I saw, I feel like he was 100% genuine, and I feel like he wears his heart on his sleeve, and you could
yeah,
see the emotion when they said when Kriegel asked him, you were willing to die in that ring. He said, "Good, good. I needed that. I needed to see who was really with me," and you could
yeah,
see his face change like he wanted to cry, and I feel like he's still in pain and still hurt. And these guys
yeah,
are human. I feel like he's still hurt about the stuff that and the vitriol that he received. And I feel like when you say the things that you said after the fight about losing and about being a conspiracy, I feel like some of that stuff was brought on himself as well. You get what I mean, Sean? And so
I
I'm not
know.
trying to make excuses for him,
No, no,
but
no. I hear you. I hear you. There's a lot of cogs in the wheel, right?
yeah, yeah, I'm not making excuses for the kid, but I do feel like he bought a lot of criticism on himself because you got to remember, he told Wilder to stop acting like a B word, remember?
Yeah,
And and that caused a lot of backlash way before this fight. So when he lost and he made excuses, people
yeah,
said, "Well, you telling Wilder he made excuses. Well, how can you then say the zone set you up and the people set you up?" So for that reason, I don't feel as though T.O. was necessarily.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's a tough one, right? Like, I don't think he's going to go back on everything he said because he said it for so long, right? You know, it's like some fighters they say that, then they sit down, they reflect, they watch the fight again, and they're like, "No, I lost. I'll see him again," and they move on swiftly. I feel like also with To, it's been a while since anyone's really given a fuck about him since the fight, right? No real interviews going on, nothing happening. So I think he's one of those guys that has to hype himself up as well, right? He's got that kind of mentality where he has to get himself into that zone where he speaks, he believes, so he can receive it, kind of thing, right? But either way, I'm happy he's back. I think they made the right move, giving him a little tune up, like throwing him back in with a big tough fight for his first fight back. Seeing how emotional he was, like you said, it's not a good idea to put him in with the big dogs and going in for a war. He needs to get back into the ring. He needs to get some rounds under his belt. He needs to get the people knowing he's back in the division. He needs to build some confidence. Really, let's be honest. So I can't wait to see him back, man. It's good for the sport.
Hey, Sean, and without further ado, I'm a place you backstage real quick, bro, and
Go for it, B.
I'm a welcome the legend, the Hall
Yeah,
of Fame
man.
trainer, Uncle
Big up.
Ronnie, my main man, one of the best trainer in the region, Texas as a whole. Him and Derek James, but Coach
Yeah.
Ronnie Shields, man, the guy that worked with legend after legend after legend, and is continuing to build his stable. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Kingpin, Coach Ronnie, my main man. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great, man. What's going on?
Oh, awesome, Coach. It's great to have you. I know it's been a change up today, but it's just awesome that you were still able to do the show and that you trusted me enough to where you're allowing me to conduct the show as normal and as planned on time. So I really appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime.
Now, Coach, I have a lot of questions though, and you
Let's
know
do it,
me,
man.
I have a lot of questions because my chat doesn't my channel. A lot of people don't know and don't hear our conversations on Tuesdays when we have it at Joe's channel. So
Right.
I just want to ask you about Georgie Benton, Lou Duva, and how you got into figuring out being a trainer would be your calling and your purpose. Because I read something, Coach, and correct me if I'm wrong. Coach George, the legendary Georgie Benton called you first, and you turned it down the first time.
Well, the first time it was Lou and George came together. I was at
Uh-huh.
Savannah. I was at Savannah Boxing Club, and I was
Uh-huh.
just trying. I was training some young kids, and they came in. They saw me, and so they came up to me and they asked me that I interested in working with George. Lou asked me was I interested in working with George, and then George said, "Hey, I could really use you right now." He's like, I got so many guys that we got other trainers, but we we're interested in you coming. And I told him, I said, let me think about it. And I said, I'll give you a call tomorrow. So I thought about it and I told him no. I said, man, I don't want to do it. I said, I just quit boxing. I said, I'm just here to help these little kids that's in the gym here now. And I said, I'm just basically taking a break. And so they said, okay, well, if you change your mind, just give us a call. So about 3 weeks later, they came back to the gym and and then they start telling me the benefits of working with such guys that they had. And, Evander Holyfield, Pernell Whitaker, Magic Taylor, Rocky Lockridge, I mean, Tyrell Biggs, just the whole 84 Olympic team, basically, except for Mark Breland, because Mark had his own trainer and he trained in New York. So I said, you know what, man? I said, I'll give it a try. I said, I'll do it.
And
So
coach, so also the first person that you held pads for was Evander Holyfield, correct?
yes, Holyfield was the first guy that I held pads with. They told me, they said, well, we wanna see you do the pads. We hear you can do the pads pretty good, so we wanna see what you can do. So I said okay. So I said, well, they said just get in there with Evander, do 4 rounds. I said okay, cool. Man, I ended up doing like 10 rounds because he wanted to keep on going. you know. So I said, all right, cool. So then I I said, okay, cool. So I got out with Evander. Then they threw in Magic Taylor. And I was supposed to do like 4 rounds with him. And I'm doing like 8 rounds with him. Then they threw in another guy and another guy and another guy. Then they threw in Tyrell Big. I was like, oh man, hold on. It's my first day, man. I said, y'all guys, they gonna kill me the first day. So,
And,
but it was fun. It was good. I knew everybody. Nobody was a stranger to me, so I knew them all anyway. But but that was the first time me working with them, and so I went back the next day. Basically, we did the same thing. And I was doing pads every day for like a month.
and coach, you have a quick question from Barbara Choice, who says, Mr. Coach Ronnie Shields, which is more enjoyable to train for you, an amateur or a pro, and why?
Well, I mean, I love training both amateur and pros. The thing about it is with the amateurs, it's more you just got to get it. But the pros, you can more like because they fight more rounds, and you can strategize a little bit more as a professional than you could as an amateur. But it doesn't matter to me because I have a couple amateurs in my gym now that I work with, and it's just a difference in how many punches you throw rather than sitting back and try to put a game plan together.
And coach, can you this is something I always want to ask you too, as far as your amateur career. When you fought Sugar Ray Leonard in the 1976 Olympic trials,
Yeah.
how was it? A lot of people don't know that, coach, that you shared the ring with. You also have a win over Tommy Hearns as well, but people don't know that you fought Sugar Ray Leonard in the Olympic trials. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It go by, in order to get in Olympic trials, you either have to win a national tournament or you have to get on the select team. So I won the National Golden Gloves, and actually I was supposed to fight Ray in the semifinals of the National Golden Gloves. We were supposed to meet, But he fought in the semifinals against another kid from Ohio, from Cincinnati, I believe, and he got his lip busted at the bottom, and he ended up getting like 15, 16 stitches. So he had to default to me in the semifinals. I mean, he fought in the quarterfinals, that kid, and then the semifinals we were supposed to fight, and then he had to default to me because of the cut lip. So then I went on to fight this other guy named Steeples, Lamel Steeples, and I beat him, and I qualified for the Olympic trials. And then, in the Olympic trials, I fought 2 fights, won both of them, and then I fought Ray. We fought in the semifinals. No, we fought in the quarterfinals, I believe. Yeah, we fought in the quarterfinals, and it was a good fight, but I thought he won. But it was good. It was a good experience for me. I was just a tad bit younger than him, not much, but but I've been watching him and studying him, and it was a really good fight. But he got the decision.
And coach, can you let people know what it was like rooming with the great Aaron Pryor in the amateurs?
That's my guy, man, Aaron.
People
You
don't.
know,
I'm
he,
telling you, coach. People just, and because you're such a great trainer, people don't know that boxing has been your life. It's not just
oh
you
yeah,
know that you're just a great coach, and you are also a great fighter. You've been around. You have lifelong relationships with some of the best fighters that ever lived.
yeah,
Um, and with Aaron Pryor, you actually room with them. Can you tell people what it was like being around that guy?
oh yeah. Well, I've been on Aaron for a long time anyway, and and he was a character, man. He was a guy that kept you laughing the whole time. I mean, we hardly slept because we would just end up talking all night and just telling me stories about different things, and I'm telling him stories, man. We went back and forth with our stories and just laughing and just having a good time, man. He was such a humble person, and he he liked to make fun of everybody, and we just had so much fun, man. I had fun with everybody, man. And I was on a U.S. team, and I went on a lot of trips, man. And with Leon Spinks, Michael Spinks, I had a lot of fun with those guys also. I mean, just Michael Dokes. I mean, just everybody you could think of that was in the 70s, in the middle to late 70s. You know, I you know I was friends with, because we traveled together all over the world, fighting against everybody. And and I remember we went on this. It's called a Scandinavian tour: Finland, Denmark, Sweden, and Germany. And we set the record for how many wins on that tour. And I don't think that record has been broken yet.
Coach, you were part of some of the golden, like my man Cool Guy says, you were in the thick of things of one of the golden eras of boxing with some of
Oh
the
yeah.
best fighters that ever lived, coach, and you were one of the best amateurs. People don't know you had almost 250 amateur fights.
Well, I had 263 amateur fights.
263.
Yeah.
Coach, and it's the thing. Let me ask you, because as a trainer, what determines and what special traits do you see in a fighter when you know they're going to be great? Like you had Pernell Whitaker, you had Evander Holyfield, you had David Tua, Vernon Forrest. What do you see in a special fighter that makes them, that is going to make them an elite fighter in the sport when you first get them?
Well, just look, man, some fighters are born to be fighters. Simple as that. Some
Right.
fighters are born to be cops. Some fighters are uh, born to be basketball players. It's just, you have to just find what you are born to be. And look, and training a guy with the talent that these guys have or had, you know, it's just adding things to it that they could use that make them a better fighter. And and it's certain things that you can do, and everybody don't catch on to certain combinations you might want to put on a guy, and and some guys just don't don't catch on as fast as others. But you know, fighters make the trainer. The trainer doesn't make the fighter.
Say that again, coach.
Fighters make the trainer. The trainer doesn't make the fighter.
Okay, because Emmanuel Stewart said something like that you're only as good as the fighters that you have, as a trainer.
That's
You can
it.
only be as great as the fighters that you have.
That's
Um
right. And that's why fighters make the trainer.
and coach, so going into your gym, you have David Morrell, you have a guy like F.A. Apoche, who is one of the biggest personalities I've ever encountered. Then you have a guy like Justin Paul, though. Then you have a guy like Filip Hurgridge. Then you have a guy like Kid Austin. How do you train so many fighters with so many different personalities, and how do you go about making those making the adjustments and talking to those fighters in a way that can motivate them?
Well, just, for me, boxing is my life. I've been in boxing since I was 13 years old. So I have met every attitude there is to meet in the sport of boxing. And, and just knowing what a guy's personality is, it's really easy to see. I know if a guy's quiet, I know how to handle that. If he's braggadocious, I know how to handle that also. And just, guys have attitudes that you just have to know how to mesh with that attitude. And it's not something that I could just tell you how to do it. Just something that you know that's comes natural to me. Just to get on, know how to talk to a guy. Some guys like to just be talked to straight up. Some guys you like to, you may have to add a little humor to it in order for them to get to know exactly what you mean. So, it depends on the fighter. You have to, just know how to mesh with a guy.
And my man Antonio Luna asked Coach. He says, Coach Shields, is it frustrating that Jamal Charlo doesn't get the appreciation that like his brother Jamel? And do you think that Jamal can be undisputed at 160 next year?
Absolutely, I think he could be undisputed at 160. But the thing about it is, in the sport of boxing, boxing has changed dramatically over the years. Now you have so many streaming services, so many different TV networks that fighters are clinging to and going to. So Jamel, it was easy for him because everybody that was at the top was with PBC. So, everybody was with the same entity. So when you have that, it's easy to make fights. But when you got guys that's fighting on the zone, you got guys that's fighting on ESPN, you got guys that fighting on this network, that network, then it's hard to get to it. It's hard to make these fights. As you can see, when, Hammer McGill not a world champion, but but we're trying to make that fight with Jamal, and they had agreed to everything. And then Oscar De La Hoya come up and say, "Well, I want the zone to be a part of this," And Showtime was like, "We don't need the zone. We got money to pay for this fight. Either you gonna take it or you're not gonna take it." So they decided not to take it. So things like that, and the same thing with world champion. Look at Triple G. He's with the zone. So you know, it's going to be the same thing. You know, it's hard to make fights that when you got people that's tied to other networks. It's part of the game now. And that's why a lot of fights can't be made. But well, we have to see what happens. In the near future. But as of right now, it's really difficult to make fights with guys that are signed to other networks.
Mm. And Coach, Jamal gets a bad rap sometimes. And can you explain what Jamal Charlo is really like in the gym for people that may have a bad perception of him just because of interviews or because of how blunt he may be sometimes with people that maybe media members have ticked him off, and because he reads everything. But can you tell us how Jamal really is in person, the guy, the
Oh,
person?
I mean, he's a really humble guy, but he trains hard. He takes fighting, boxing serious, and that's just who he is. I mean, a lot of fighters don't like to be going on and ask, be asked a lot of different questions that, you know, that, if you understand the sport of boxing, then you wouldn't ask those questions because you understand, and the first thing you hear, are you ducking Triple G? Are you ducking just Canelo? Are you ducking this guy? Are you ducking that guy? No, it's not about ducking, you know, it's about being affiliated with a network that don't want to deal with another network, or that they feel that they have to deal with another network. You know, you know. Case in point, like I just said, with Mangier and Jamal, you know, they had agreed to everything. Everything was getting ready to be signed when Oscar came up and he wanted the zone to be a part of a pay-per-view that Showtime didn't need help with. If it was a big fight like, say, Tyson versus Lennox Lewis, oh yeah, absolutely. You could do a dual network. You could do that. But this fight didn't garner that kind of attention. So it's only needed to be on one network. And that's the
Mm.
thing that happens when but the crazy thing about this is Jamal has a contract with Showtime, but Mangia doesn't have a contract with DAZN. Oscar De
Don't
La
say that,
Hoya,
coach.
Oscar De La Hoya is the only guy that has a contract with DAZN. None of his fighters are assigned to DAZN. Only him, only his company is assigned to DAZN. So
Mm.
basically, these fighters can say, "Hey, we want to go over there. We want to fight." That's the problem that's going to be with Ryan Garcia and Tank. That's going to be the problem because
So
Ryan Garcia isn't signed to the zone. He's signed through he's signed to Alpha De La Hoya promotional company, which has the deal with the zone.
so coach, so you telling me that these guys that fight on the zone don't have a network deal like Jamal Charlo or Tank Davis, because Tank Davis has a network deal with Showtime as well. So these
Yes, he
guys are
does.
free to move. It's just that Oscar maybe has a contract with the zone where he's promising these guys certain dates, or that maybe,
Absolutely.
and that's why these guys are not allowed to go to Showtime, even though they're not exclusively the
Well,
zone fighters.
he has a promotional deal with them, but
Okay.
these fighters are not signed to that network.
Mm, okay. And this is something that, so, coach, what determines a fighter's purse in the sport, or what determines a fighter's value, and what determines the value of a fight to where it's worth doing dual network promotion,
Well,
like a dual pay-per-view?
yeah, I mean, look, it depends on their numbers. When you got guys that's fighting, and and then the numbers come out, you see how many people watch them. So, and then you add that to what how many people are watching. If you're doing two to like just on regular, say, regular Showtime or whatever. If you're doing 1 million plus on that, of course, you go garner some attention as far as pay-per-view is concerned. But if you only doing like 30, 40,000, you know, that's nothing. That's nothing in the TV because remember, people forgetting television have to make money too. Everybody got to make money, and the television on there just to say, okay, fans, we're gonna put this fight here, and if you don't watch it, then we're gonna take this big loss. Then that network is not going to be on television very long. So you know your numbers have to be up in order for you to get a pay-per-view.
So in this situation with Bud Crawford and Errol Spence, for instance, people keep
Right.
saying that Showtime was able to come up with a certain amount of money for Canelo, but they're not willing to come up with a certain amount of money guaranteed for Bud Crawford and Errol Spence.
Because
What's
Bud
the
Crawford
difference in
don't
that
have
fight?
Canelo numbers. Bud Crawford doesn't make Canelo numbers. That's the problem. The problem is, look, Bud is a great fighter, but nobody watches him. His numbers is not good at all. Why do you think Aaron kept complaining that he was paying this guy all his money and the numbers just wasn't there? So if you can't keep losing money, and all these networks have to stay in business too. They got to make money. But if your numbers suck, then they don't want to be paying out all this money and then they're not making it back. They're not making a profit. They got employees. They, lots of employees. They have trucks. They have to rent satellites. You know, I mean, it takes a lot to put on a pay-per-view match, and it takes a lot of people to put on a pay-per-view match. So imagine how much money they in the hole even before the show starts. So they dependent on the viewership to garner great numbers, so everybody can make good money out of this. I mean, they can only sell so much advertisements and all this other stuff to make money. But in order for TV to stay in business, they need these numbers to be up.
Hey, coach, and he also says somebody asked me, he says, well, they made Wilder versus Fury, why not Bud versus Crawford?
Because Wilder versus Fury did great numbers. That's why they made it. That's why they was able to pay these guys a lot of money, because they made the numbers was great. They did really good numbers, and and not just from the pay-per-view, but from the streaming services also. They did good numbers. They didn't lose money. Why do you think they fought 3 times?
And coach, people always say these guys that PBC fighters, the back end is not proven. It's not a proven commodity. The pay-per-view revenue is not a proven commodity because it's not guaranteed. And so coach, how many fighters in your experience don't like working with Al Heyman and have complained about monetary and their purse and being shorted monetarily working with Al Heyman, coach?
I've never heard of anybody complain about how much money they make.
So is the back end something that could be true, coach, or is it a mythical? Because people keep telling me because we can't prove how much guys make on the back end that it might be it's a mythical.
Well, look, all people have to do, right? Taxes is open to the public. You can go on the guys and look and see how much a guy make. You can do that. All you gotta do is look at the taxes. Taxes is public record. So all you gotta do is look at the taxes. That'll show you how much a guy makes.
Mm.
And that's the proof. The proof is in the pudding.
And coach, now can we talk about the stable that you have? You have David Stevens, your 168 pounder just won. You have Ephraim Bowie, my boy Boca Negra, Xavier, X-Man. But you also have a new addition, a fairly new addition that a lot of people are very excited about, coach. My boy Kid Austin. And can you speak on him and how soon will it be when you start taking over head coaching duties?
Well, Kid Austin, he came down. He came down for a few days, and we worked together, and everything was good. I mean, he loved the way I worked with him, and his father did also. So we made a deal. He's gonna fight in Fort Worth on August the 6th. He's gonna fight
on the
Virgil
Ortiz
card. Yes, he's fighting on that card, and he's gonna stay up in San Antonio and train for this fight. But I'm going to the fight, and then. But they already done booked an apartment here, so they moving to Houston, but to Sugar Land actually. They moving to Sugar Land right after this fight, so he'll be in the gym every day.
And working mitts with him, coach, what did you see that's special about Kid Austin?
Oh, I mean, the thing when I work the mitts with guys, I basically want to see if they could do the things that I need to see. I want to do the things that he does best, but I need to see some things that that I figure that would help him out. And I showed him some new stuff that he really liked, and he said, "Well, I never thought of this. I never thought that." And it's just certain things that that I see that I think would help him to improve what he's doing. And once I see that, and once he sees that, then we get on the same page. And then I just keep adding stuff to it. The thing about boxing is, you got to keep adding things to it. And if you don't, then your fighter's going to be left behind. So, there's still a lot of things that young fighters have to know. It's not all about just going out there and get the knockout, because you're not going to knock everybody out. That's just simple facts. And you have to know how to go the distance. You got to know how to pace yourself when you're going 12 rounds, 10 rounds, 8 rounds. You got, there's a certain pace. It all depends on the style that you're fighting. So everything comes into play when you have a new guy that you're trying to teach a system to. And everybody have their own system. So once I get my system down with a guy, then I know how to handle him, whether I'm gonna push him fast or I'm gonna slow him down a little bit. It just depends on the opponent.
And you're an honorary Cuban now, Coach. You trained my boy Rigondeaux, Lara. You got David Morrell now, Coach. You have you part Cuban now. You got my man Morrell has you listening to salsa, different music. He has you speaking Spanish. Coach Ronnie, when are you going to baile? Come dance, Coach Ronnie. So, hey, Coach, how soon is my man David Morrell getting back in the gym for people that don't know? And who is he fighting next? And also, how long can he make 168, Coach? He's a big kid.
Yeah, he's a big kid. But he'll be back August 1st. And he's fighting in October. He has a mandatory that he has to defend his regular title, mandatory. So, and I can't pronounce this guy's name, so I'm not going to even try.
It sounds like adios, Coach. It sounds like you're saying bye in Spanish.
Yeah,
adios.
Adios. Yeah, that's him. That's the one. I can't pronounce the last name though.
I can't pronounce it either, Coach. I'm gonna just call him adios.
Yeah, that's him.
But what do you see in him, and what does he bring to the table that you saw with breaking him down, Coach? Is he a tough? I mean, is he a worthy opponent? Do you think that he's gonna test David?
Absolutely, he's gonna test David. This guy's strong. He comes forward. David is gonna. This guy's gonna really be able to show David's skills. David gonna have to really have good skills against this guy, because this guy has a good chin. He comes forward and he's a really strong guy. So David is going to really have to be on his A game to beat this guy. And, the competition, that's what it's all about, good competition. And this guy is going to test David. And that's what David needs. He needs to be tested. And I think in order for him to go up against the other guys at 168, this is the kind of fights they need. And you got to remember, this is only my fourth fight with David. So, we starting to really get to mesh with each other right now. Our gel is really coming together, and he's starting to know exactly what I want, and I see it, and but every day we have to just continue to keep on working, and and just make sure that we're on the same page. And, all my fighters know that they have, certain things they like to do. I always say, okay, let me add that in. At a certain point, I add it in because I know they like to do certain things. And so I have to keep adding things to what they like to do. But, but this fight with David is going to really, really be a good hard test for him.
And I love that, Coach. And I feel like his star power is slowly in building out here. I feel like the more that people get exposed to him because of his personality, Coach, and the more and when he keeps fighting at the Armory in Minneapolis, I feel like that's a great place for him. And the people seem to love him there. And I feel like he has all the star potential in the world, Coach. He loves the fans. He loves to take pictures. He loves to sign autographs. He kind of has a politician mindset. He hugging and kissing babies. This guy is really the goods as far as
No, he
personality.
is.
And
Absolutely,
coach,
absolutely.
and how is it meshing with Philip Hurgridge right now, coach?
Oh man, me and Philip are doing great. We're doing great together, and things are finally starting to come together. We still have about 3 weeks of training left. So, but Philip, man, Philip is you know, he's such a good guy. Number one, he has a hell of a personality, and but he's one of these guys that at the beginning I didn't know how things was going to work, but I just told him, I said, listen, I want you to be you. I'm not trying to make you be anybody else but yourself. And, certain things I'm have to put in that I want you to just try. And he did it. And man, now things are just clicking so well, and I can't wait till August 20th.
Awesome, awesome, coach. And Barbara Choi says, Coach, what is your philosophy on keeping your fighters focused, even if they're the favorite and they're huge favorites to win?
Well, the thing about it is, you know, you have to continue to tell guys don't underestimate anybody in the sport because if you do, that's how you get beat. When you think that you are invincible and nobody's invincible, you have to continue to train hard. Number one, you have to stay focused on everything that you're doing, you know, and in this business, man, it's tough, it's hard, and a setback. You can always come back from a setback, but if it's something that shouldn't happen anyway, then you got to know you got to limit your mistakes. And the thing about it is, with a lot of fighters, is everybody loves to win, and as long as you keep that winning attitude, then you're going to continue to train hard, and you have to continue to just listen and not think that you know everything.
And coach, if now, can you break down the fight that we have this weekend between Danny Garcia and Jose Benavidez at 154? Who do you expect to win that fight?
Well, I expect Danny Garcia to win. I think that big left hook he has, I don't think Benavidez is going to be able to to handle that. I think Danny, if but the thing about Benavidez is I've only seen him fight once, and I thought he lost that fight, the one I saw.
Was that
But
his most recent fight, coach, when he fought at
yes,
middleweight? Oh, okay, I
yes,
did too. Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah. But he got a home cooked decision on that one. But it happens. That's a sport. So, but anyway, I just think that Garcia, man, Danny Garcia is a really really good fighter, and you know I, he's moving up in weight, so this will be a big test for him because Benavidez has already been there. So I think that, but I think Danny's left hook, is the punch that Benavidez has to watch out for. But Danny got to set it up and just can't go in just hoping to land just that one punch. And I think his father's a good coach, so I know he did his homework on Benavidez. But I think I suspect that that uh, that he's going to win.
Coach, can you break down a mindset of like because I just saw the Teofimo Lopez snippet today, and he said some good things that I liked, coach, but he also said some things that gave had cause for concern. It was because he said, "I know I won the fight. The referee raised my hand, so I felt like I won." And what type of mindset do you need, coach, coming off of a loss? Is that healthy to still think you won the fight and going into the next fight, even though you lost the fight?
Well, I mean, it's only healthy if you're trying to psych yourself up. Everybody's got a different way of psyching themselves up, and and that's good that he psychs himself up that way. But but still, you have to come down to reality, and the reality is you lost the fight. So, but maybe he's pumping himself up to think that he won the fight, and everybody's different. So I can't say what he's feeling, but but just been in the sport for so long, I do know guys, they pump themselves up in certain ways that gets their adrenaline going. So once you get your adrenaline going, then, that helps you to train hard and to do the things that you know you have to do. And I'm sure he's going back and forth looking at that fight that he lost, and in some kind of way in his mind, he's twisting it to the fact that, oh, I won that round, I won that round, I won that round, and but everybody know he didn't. So, but again, it just he playing mind games with himself, and if that's the way he built himself up, then God bless him.
And coach, you were in a similar situation with when Erislandy Lara fought Canelo. Erislandy Lara believes to this day, and you do too, coach, that
And
that
I do
Erislandy
too.
Lara was the victor in that fight. And how did he go on in his next fight after that tough loss and that competitive, controversial decision? How was Erislandy Lara's mindset in camp after that fight?
Well, after that fight, he came in like he had won, and and in his mind he didn't lose. So he trained like a champion that he is.
Okay. And now we're about to go into fact or fiction, but my last question before fact or fiction, coach, do you like Gary Antoine as a prospect? I'm gonna give you a couple prospects that I get a lot of questions about. People really love Gary Antoine, coach. Jerron Boots Ennis as a contender. They feel like he's really that guy, and they also really like Big Baby Anderson in the heavyweight division. A lot of people speak on those three guys a lot. And what are your thoughts on Gary Antoine, Boots Ennis, and Big Baby Anderson?
But as far as Gary Antoine, he haven't really impressed me yet, because he haven't fought a name yet. But he's getting ready to his next fight. So, so we'll see how he handles that. But as far as the fights that I've seen him in, he just seems ordinary right now. But I'm sure because he had so many amateur fights, and this kid, I mean, like the whole family is good. All the brothers are good. But I think now that his next fight is going to be on Showtime, I believe, and like it's a Cuban, matter of fact, and and I think that he has to really show that that he has the goods, because 140 pounds that's a really good division right now, and I think that he just had to prove in his next fight that he belongs in that division. And as far as Javon Botenis, when I first saw this kid, I say, this kid is going to be world champion. This kid is ready. And I think that you know it would be wise to let Crawford, Errol Spence go up and move into the 154-pound division, and then make a move, because it's going to be difficult. That's a difficult fight for him against Crawford, and a very difficult fight for him against Errol Spence. So, but not to say that he can't handle that, because look, man, right now I think he's up there with them. He belongs up there with them. And until he fight them, then that's and he definitely would be the underdog in both of those fights, but not by, I think, by a very slim margin, because this kid is really talented, and and I just think that just the smart move is to let these guys go up, and then he can take over that division. But he's still going to have some other competition, and Manchester Jonas, he's going to be there, and there's a few other guys that's going to be also.
A fighter you trained, by the way, too, coach. You trained Stanionis before.
Yes, I trained him, I think, for a few fights. Yes.
Yeah, you trained him before. Hey, coach, my man Nate Johnson says, which style of fighter is more challenging to prepare for? A fighter who bends the rules constantly, low blows, headbutts, fouling, etc., or an extremely safety first fighter?
Well, the guy that throw low blows, elbows, and every heads, you know, those are hard guys to fight. You have to really have a good referee for that style of fighter. And although I don't like to go up against guys like that, there's certain tricks of the trade that you have to know how to teach a fighter to handle that. Because number one, you can't get frustrated because those guys can frustrate the hell out of you, you know, in a fight. And you have to really have a good referee that knows what he's doing in order to control that fight.
Great question. My man here to there says, Coach, could you tell us about some of your learning from Georgie Benton as far as game planning goes?
Well, George, we sit down and watch a lot of tape together, me, George, and Luduva. And, and the good thing is they always let me have a say in what I think and how I think we should prepare. And that's one thing I respect. I respected about George and about Lou. But George, man, George, one of the greatest minds in the sport of boxing. He was. And I learned so much from him. You know, I learned the Philly shell. I learned how to, just have a fighter to just beat guys up doing certain things. And man, Georgie Benton, definitely a Hall of Famer, deserved to be there, and probably going to go down in history as one of the best trainers in the history of the sport.
You do too, Coach. You do too. I feel like sometimes people might look at the stable of fighters, and when we talk about best trainers in the sport, they need to mention you as well at all times. And Bang says, my friend Bang from Houston, he says, Coach, how did you meet Mr. Savannah, Mr. and Mrs. Savannah?
Yeah, I met him. I was still an amateur, and I fought in Houston, and I met him here, and and him and we clicked, and he was the reason I moved to Houston.
Wow, he's the reason.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow. So I couldn't imagine, you not having gyms here in Houston or be working here in Houston. That's crazy. I never knew that, Coach. My man Kuga says, Coach, he said, a question is can a fighter just rely on speed or power? And will that take you so far, missing other things, like missing fundamentals? Can a fighter basically get to the highest level without basic fundamentals, just with speed and power?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The thing about it is, you got to have somebody that know how to defend against speed and defend against power. You have to know, you just got to know certain things you have to do to combat, speed and power. And it's a lot of things that you can do. So, oh, absolutely. But sometimes you might fight some fighters that don't know how to combat that, and so they get away with it all the time. And there's a lot of fighters that do.
Hey, Coach, my man Vasquez Santana, he said, have you talked about Osvaldo? David. Yeah, man, we talked about David. But, Coach, how good can David Morrell be? What's the ceiling on this kid?
Let me tell you something. I think this kid is going to be at least a 2 to 3 division world champion. Definitely.
2 to 3 division, Coach. So he's at super middleweight. Let me count it with you. So super middleweight,
light
heavyweight,
and
cruiserweight. That's 3 division champ, Coach.
You understand? He's young. He's a young kid.
He's only 24 years old. He just turned 24 in January. This kid is he's a big boy. He's a monster. And speaking from experience, Coach, he has the rhythm, and he has something that I think that you say, Coach, that you say you observe in a fighter as far as being able to pick up things quick on the draw. He's quick on the draw. If you teach him something, this kid can execute that and implement it right away. And I think that's something that one of the most underrated things about David Morrell is that he has a extreme level of raw talent, but he also has a high boxing IQ.
Absolutely. This kid was born to be a fighter, man. No ifs, ands, and buts about it.
All right, Coach. I'm sorry, man. I keep getting off track because these guys love you, Coach. You have such a big, fan base in the chat, man. These people, the family, they never had you on the show, Coach. They just have more and more questions. But now we're about to go to Fact or Fiction. And number one, Coach, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, Coach. So number one, Philip Hurgridge will finally get a title shot in 2023 if and when he is successful against Big Bang Zane. August 20th on the Joshua undercard?
I think that's a fact. The thing about it is, if Tyson Fury decides not to come back, I can see that either Usyk or Joshua would want to fight Phillip. I can see that. So, but if Fury comes back, then that's going to take precedent over a mandatory any day of the week. So that's going to be, you know, that's going to be the determinant factor whether he gets that title shot after, he wins on August 20th.
Okay, coach. Number 2. If Teofimo Lopez is successful against Pedro Campa August 13th and Devin Haney beats Kambosos in October, Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney will be Devin Haney's last fight on ESPN early 2023.
Oh man, that's a tough one there. That's a tough one because I don't know, because I don't know if his contract is up and he's going to leave and go somewhere else or what. I mean, I don't know. Haven't I don't know. That's I think these guys would fight. I think they would fight, and I think it'd be a great fight. But whether he leave, that's something that I don't know because I don't really follow Devin Haney. So
Okay, coach. Well, now number 3, win, lose, or draw. Triple G will retire after his fight with Canelo Alvarez on September 13th, setting up a Lara versus Jamal Charlo unification fight with the WBA on the line.
uh, fiction. I don't think so. I don't think he's going to retire. You know, uh, I think if he loses to Canelo, then I think he's going to want to unify and try to be undisputed at middleweight. So that's why I'm gonna say fiction because he know his legacy is already cemented, but at the same time, still he's never been undisputed champion before. So I can see that he'll want to try to do that. So I think he'll come back and try to fight Jamal.
Absolutely, coach. And you think that Triple G will fight Jamal?
Oh, absolutely. I think he would. I think because after if he loses to Triple G, if he loses to Canelo,
Mm.
then I think he's going to want to go out probably as the undisputed champion of the world. So in order to do that, he got to face Jamal Charlo.
Okay. Now number 4, coach. Tank Davis will rematch Esau Cruz later this year because negotiations will fall apart with Golden Boy and Ryan Garcia.
Well,
Fact or
that could
fiction?
be a fact. That could be a fact. But to me, there's no sense in fighting Esau Cruz again. For what? He beat him. It was a good fight. It was a close fight. But is that a big fish out there? Esau Cruz is not a champion. I think Tank want to fight champions.
Awesome. Now, coach, number 5. Rather than fight Keith Thurman, Errol Spence Jr. will move up to 154 if the Terence Crawford negotiations fall apart. Fact or fiction?
I think that's a fact. Look, I know 147 is probably hard for Errol to make, and he only need to make it if he has to make it. But I don't see him, struggling to go down in weight to fight Keith Thurman. Because the fight really don't make a difference. You beat Keith Thurman, okay. So what? I just beat another welterweight. I think it's bigger fish at 154 for him.
Mm. Great answer, coach. Number 6. With the help of Robert Garcia, Anthony Joshua will knock out Alexander Usyk in the rematch on August 20th. Fact or fiction?
Well, I can't say fact or fiction on this one because the thing about it is Robert is a good trainer, and he knows the sport. But You can't fight for the fighter. You know, these fighters got to fight for themselves, and everything depends on game plan. You know, game plan is a huge difference in these fights. So, you know, Joshua has the skills, he has the power, he has everything, but so does Usyk, and Usyk has proved that in the first fight. So, look, it's a tough fight either way you look at it. So, you know, I think it's going to be a toss up in my eyes. I think the fight is a toss up, and the best man is going to win.
Okay, coach. I respect that. And number 7, my boy Jaron Boots Ennis will fail to get a top welterweight in the ring this year, despite calling out Keith Thurman and Errol Spence Jr. Fact or fiction?
That might be a fact because nobody wants to fight this kid. You know, and look, you know, this is how good this kid is. Okay, he's really that good, and you know, and I don't see Errol Spence fighting him because you know he wants to unify. If he can't unify, I really believe he's going to go to 54. Crawford, you know, now Crawford may be the one that would fight him, but you know, it's all about money for Crawford right now. He wants to be, you know, people are considering Crawford as pound for pound the best fighter in the world right now, and he thinks he's supposed to make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars because of that. But it doesn't go by that, you know, by what people think you are. You know, it's go by what you do with these numbers. And but I think I think Crawford would want to prove that he's the best welterweight in the world, and I think he would challenge a guy like Javon Ennis. And so I think Javon Ennis. I think if Spence and Crawford can be made, I really think they can make Crawford and Javon Ennis. I believe that's the makeup of fight.
Wow, coach, you just breaking news. Crawford versus Ennis could happen. Okay. Wow, coach, you
That's
just
my opinion.
wow, coach. Okay, okay. Number 8, Shakur Stevenson will make a statement by knocking out Robinson Conceição on September 23rd in Newark, New Jersey.
Well, you know, I mean, that could be a fact. This kid is so good. I love Shakur Stevens. This kid has a great style. You know, he's a good champion. You know, and he's a champion that you want to root for. You know, and you could, you know, and I know he trains really hard. So it's a strong possibility that he can win by knockout.
Wow, okay, coach. And my boy, and number 9, Deontay Wilder will come back later this year and call out Anthony Joshua, even if he loses to Usyk in the rematch.
That's a fact. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Look, and you know what? And that would be a great fight. That would be a great fight. It really would be, because you know both guys are not known for having great chins, but both guys can punch like hell. And so, you know, people would buy this fight because somebody's going to get knocked out in this fight.
You know what, coach? And to cement that, when Steven Espinosa was asked his top 5 fights, and I mean the biggest fights in boxing, he
Right.
said Wilder Joshua, Canelo Charlo, Canelo Benavidez, Bud versus Spence, and then the other one I believe was, I forgot who else it was. I know it was 5 fights, but those are some of the fights that he said
Right.
that were the biggest fights in the
All
sport, and
great fights.
all great fights. And Joshua's
Absolutely.
coming off a law, and even if Joshua comes off a loss, coach,
Doesn't
can you
matter.
imagine? It doesn't matter. If Wilder and him sign the fight tomorrow, coach, are you watching it?
Absolutely. I'm paying for that.
You're paying for it? Okay. Hey, coach.
Absolutely.
Hey, the 10th and final one, Bam Rodriguez will steal the show as the co-main event on Canelo versus Triple G, the trilogy on September 17th, and continue his rise to be a star. Fact or fiction?
You know what? That could be a fact because this kid is really, really good. He's exciting, but you know, I don't think he's going to steal the show on that card though. You know, because I just think that you know people aren't gonna let him steal the show on the fight like that, because the Canelo Triple G card in itself, that fight is just too big. It's just too big. And look, small guys are exciting anyway, so they're going to put up a good fight, and he's going to look really good because he's just that kind of fighter that looks good every time. But people are going to forget his fight because they're going to be so anxious to see Triple G and Canelo.
Well, there you go, Coach. That's fact or fiction. Now, Coach, do you have a little bit? I know you've been on close to an hour. Do you have a little bit more time to answer a few more
No, let's
questions
go,
in the chat?
man. Come on. Let's
Okay.
go.
Well, yeah, you've been gracious with your time, so we appreciate it. All right, Coach. Well, my man says, Bang says Andre versus Jamal Charlo was needed for both of their careers. Can you tell us why that's fiction, Coach?
It's fiction because nobody want to see it. That's the problem. The problem is nobody want to see that fight. For what? It doesn't, you know, and Demetrius right now, he's without a network. He's without anything,
Mm.
everything. So, and plus he's been ordered by the WBO to fight. He's mandatory. So, he's talking about other fighters, but he got that mandatory. When you have a mandatory, you got to fight it. You got to defend it. He's calling out Chris Eubank. He said he offered Chris Eubank $1 million to fight. So I don't know why he's going that route, but I have no idea.
Hey, Coach, my man Nate Johnson says, what do you think about the fights like Golovkin Brook, Canelo versus Khan, Canelo versus Bivol, and even recent right now like Eubank versus Conor Ben? Do you think it's smart to go up so high for these welterweights, going up basically double two weight classes for those bigger guys?
Well, I think they're doing it for the money. That's basically all I can see. You know, but except for Canelo, I know he's going for legacy, but it's just one of these things that you do in the sport of boxing. It happens, man. Sometimes guys want to test themselves. They want to make sure that their legacy is intact. So like a guy like Canelo, of course, man. Look, I didn't think there was anything wrong with him going up to light heavyweight. And he lost, but at the same time, it wasn't one-sided. It was a really good fight that he lost, and this is why he wants the rematch. But as far as the other guys too, look, everybody's looking for legacy, so why not?
Mm. My man Vasquez Santana says, Coach, can Morrell versus Benavidez happen sometime in 2023? Is that possible?
Well, anything is possible, but you know, let's see what happens. The thing about it is, again, with Canelo being he has
Mm.
all the belts, and this is not a how you call it a eliminator type of deal. Everybody wants to fight the champion, so everybody looking to fight Canelo. Nobody's looking, why fight Benavidez when he got nothing? What do you get when you beat Benavidez? You get nothing. You don't get a guarantee to go and fight the champion. And that's the thing. When you fight Canelo Alvarez, mandatory don't mean anything because he fights who he want to fight because he makes so much money. These boxing organizations, they make so much money off of his fights that they're gonna let him do what he want to do. So he's not gonna have a mandatory. Benavidez has been mandatory for how long now? And still
Mm.
haven't got even close to a title fight with Canelo. But it's his own fault because he didn't make the weight and got stripped of the belt.
Well, thank you for answering that, Coach. I know you get bombarded with Benavidez and Morrell questions, and Andre too, Coach. Your favorite fighter? That's your boy. Yeah, yeah. Your favorite fighter? Hey, Coach. Now, my man Nate Jones says, "Hey, Coach, who do you think will win between Usyk and Fury? If both of those guys were to fight for undisputed, let's say Usyk beats Joshua and Fury makes a comeback, who do you think will win in that type of matchup, Coach?"
I think Fury, he's going to use his size. His style is different from Joshua. And Fury just I think he's just too big for a guy like Usyk. Too big.
So, because people tell me that if you have superior skills, that size doesn't matter, but in the
Size
heavyweight
matters.
division,
Trust
coach,
me.
it matters. Okay.
It matters a
Pause.
lot.
Okay. And my man Ben Adams says, Coach, thoughts on Wilder saying he doesn't run for training camp? Do you think that's a problem? So, and another question to tie into that, Coach, was I forgot who was in the chat, but he asked do you pick between jumping rope and running? Which one would you pick?
I pick running any day of the week. Because
Okay.
running is what gets your stamina up, man. Jumping rope is not going to do anything for you. You can't gain a lot of stamina from jumping rope. You know, that's why some people they run, they swim, you do anything to get that stamina. And but jumping rope is not going to do it. That's just it just won't happen.
Hey, Coach, my man KE, my man KE Boomerang says top 3 trainers today, excluding yourself, Coach.
Oh, I think you got to go with Derrick James. I think you got to go with Canelo's trainer, Venosa. The third one, man, it's so many, man. There's so many good ones out there but I think I'm gonna give you the top 2. I can't think of a third one because there's so many, man. There's so many out there. You got Virgil Hunt, you got Robert Garcia, you got you just got so many others, man. What's his name with China sick?
Oh, you talking about Anatoly Lomachenko?
Well, no, the one that not Usyk. I'm sorry, Fury.
Sugar Hill,
Detroit. Sugar Hill.
nephew,
Got
the
Sugar
nephew, yeah,
Hill.
of your boy,
Yeah. You got Sugar Hill. That's
the nephew.
Emmanuel's nephew. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Emmanuel's nephew. You got him. I mean, man, it's just so many. There's just so many good trainers out there, man. And you got trainers out there that's really good, but they just don't have the fighters that that perform to show their talents. And that's just it, man. I say this guy keep putting up. If I remember Bump City, yeah, absolutely, I remember Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny
See, Coach,
Bump
they've been
City.
trying to ask you that for the whole show. I just been
Yeah,
putting it on. Hey,
no,
Coach.
no, that's my man though. Johnny, him and I were, we fought in amateurs. We fought in the 1980 Olympic trials. That's a fight I thought I won, but I didn't get the decision. And then we were supposed to fight in the we were supposed to fight again to see who go to the Olympics, but the United States boycotted, so we didn't have a box off. So that's why me and Johnny. But then when I started working with after Johnny retired from boxing, he came in and he was working with us with Ludovic Jordan, and then they hired Johnny as a trainer also. So me and Johnny used to be together every day, and Johnny and I were friends until he died.
Hey, Coach, my man Ruben says, can you give us a Jamal Charlo update?
Well, right now I don't have an update. So,
Okay.
but I mean, I just been so busy with the Philip right now, and all the other guys that's been fighting. I've just been real busy with that, and I'm not sure if he's even released from the doctor yet.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're hoping for a great a comeback for Jamal Charlo, Coach. He's Houston grown, and I love the city, and I love fighters that represent Houston and Texas as a whole, Coach. And I just want him to do well, and I know how talented he is, seeing him working. I want all your fighters to succeed, Coach. Even my boy JP, my boy Apoche. But yeah, Coach, you have such a diverse gym. And my man Tino the Great. He said, "What are the keys to beating a great fighter like Terence Crawford?" That's a tough question, huh, Coach?
That's a tough question because I have never studied Terence Crawford. I've never had nobody go up against him. So until I study a guy, you know, I can't answer that. Because just let me tell you something, this guy, he's Terence Crawford is a guy. You can't just look at him fighting other people. You got to study your guy's style against him in order to find out the keys to beat him. And I've never had nobody go up against him, so I never had to sit down and actually just take a look to see what I think will work against him. But you have to have that right style in order to beat a guy like Terence Crawford.
And how many guys do you think have that type of style, coach, that could beat it? You get what I'm saying? Because even if you implemented a strategy, like you said, coach, it's so hard to beat those guys, those super elite guys. You almost have to execute it perfectly.
You
And
have
even
to
if you come up with the right game plan, how hard is it to still, even when you give a fighter a game plan, how hard is it to execute it against a great fighter who can make adjustments?
Absolutely. That's the whole key, adjustments. Terence Crawford make adjustments better than so many fighters that's out there right now. But Errol Spencer the same way. He make adjustments also, like that. So, and that's why I say this would be a great fight for everybody, because these guys know how to make adjustments, and they're two great fighters, man. But Terence Crawford, man, if you don't have the right tools, then you're not going to beat a guy like Terence Crawford. That's just simple as that.
Hey, Coach Jonathan Simon said that when you fought Bump City, he said his cousin Irvin Mitchell lost in the same tournament to Bernard Taylor. Do you remember Bernard Taylor, Coach?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he said his
My
cousin
guy.
fought Bernard Taylor.
I
Yeah,
used to
yep.
travel with Bernard Taylor too, man. I used to travel with him, but Johnny, we travel with it all together.
And my man Elder Boxing says, ask Coach, are these good comparisons? Terence Crawford's a little bit like Johnny Bumpus, and Sean Porter is a little bit like Frankie Warren. Do you think those are
Sean,
decent comparisons?
well, I think Sean Porter and Frankie won. Yes, I think that was a good comparison. But Johnny, not so much, not like Travis Crawford. No, absolutely not.
Why not, Coach?
Just Johnny was long, man. No, Johnny was, Johnny was tall and he was long. So, and he was just a boxer. Terrence, Terrence can go righty or lefty, and when he had to put the pressure, he could do it. Johnny was just more of a boxer. You hardly ever seen Johnny, and Johnny didn't have the knockout power like Terrence Crawford has. So I just don't see the comparison to it. Johnny was just more on the outside trying to beat you, boxing you. And Terrence, man, when it's time for him to go in, he can go in and get it. And I don't think Johnny had the capabilities to do that.
And Coach, you trained Erislandy Lara, Guillermo Rigondeaux, Pernell Whitaker. What most guys would consider all of them defensive masters. But why was
Yeah.
Sweet Pea the most special out of those three as far as being the slickest? What made him different than even the great Guillermo Rigondeaux and a gold medalist like Erislandy Lara? What made Sweet Pea stand out?
Well, you said it, slickness. Pernell was the slickest fighter ever. I think Pernell Whitaker, you know, pound for pound, one of the best fighters ever to put a pair of gloves on. Because Pernell could stand right in front of you, and you could throw 50 punches, and he not move backwards at all. Or if he
Mm.
did move backwards, it's hard to move backwards and moving your head side to side, or bobbing and weaving, or doing things. Not a lot of fighters could do that. And then stop on a dime and come back and throw 50 punches at you. Not many fighters can do that. Rarely anybody can do that. And I said still that I think Pernell Whitaker was the best defensive, offensive fighter in the sport.
Wow, Coach. And so that answers that. And my man Bang says, how was it to train Houston local legend Juan Diaz,
Oh
Pitbull?
man,
I mean,
it was
Baby Bull,
great.
Baby Bull.
Yeah, baby boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Juan. It was such a good guy. It still is a good guy. I saw him not too long ago, and he wants to learn everything, and that's the kind of fighter that you want. He'll try everything you tell him to try. He tried, and if you tell him to do this or do that, whatever, he did it. And that was the great thing about Juan Diaz. And you know, there's nothing more I can say about Warren. It just, you know, he did something that a lot of people didn't think he could do, and that's win world titles. And man, I was so happy for him because he proved so many people wrong. So many people he proved wrong. And I was just so happy to be with him, proving everybody wrong.
And coach, he's one of the smartest guys out there too. People don't know that.
Absolutely.
He's very
Oh,
intelligent, very
without
educated.
absolutely, absolutely,
And my man
absolutely.
Tino, says, Coach, rate the importance of these attributes: power, footwork, and timing. What's
Oh,
the most important to you out of those three?
out of those three, I say timing. Because if you get the timing of your opponent, you're going to win every time. If you can do that. And that's really hard to do. But when you get the time of a fighter, you should never lose.
Okay. And my man Uncle Jay says, Coach, that Chavez Senior fight, the first one with Meldrick Taylor, messed his career up, basically deteriorate his career prematurely.
That's a hard question because Meldrick was winning that fight. I was in the corner for that fight, and Meldrick was winning that fight. And a lot of people still don't know. All you got to do is go back and watch the fight. Lou Duva lost the fight for Meldrick Taylor because when he got dropped, it was like 12 seconds left in the round. And by the time he got up, it was less than 10 seconds left in the round. Well, Lou Duva jumped up on the ring. That's what got Meldrick. Meldrick got disqualified. He wasn't counted out. He got disqualified because if you look at him, he wasn't paying attention to Richard Steele. He was paying attention to Lou Duva. Lou Duva was jumped up on the ring apron, trying to make it look like the bell rang. And the bell hadn't rang yet. He still had about 3 seconds left when they stopped the fight. And Meldrick was looking at Lou because that was the distraction. He wasn't paying attention to Richard Steele. But Richard Steele shouldn't have stopped that fight anyway because he knew exactly how much time was left in that round. And he stopped it, and if he wouldn't have stopped it, Meldrick wins the fight easy.
Wow. See, and wow, Coach, and you know Lou Duva very well. So that when you say that, that really hits home for me. My man Bang says, Coach, was Jesus Mendez capable of being better than Juan Diaz?
Well, look, everybody's capable of doing whatever. It depends on your talents, though. And if he has somebody that can bring out his talents.
And my man Nate Johnson says, Coach, which fighter is considered more untrainable? A fighter who can't control his weight, or a fighter that shows up late all the time, undisciplined?
Right, and the undisciplined fighter is always the hardest guy to train. Always.
And my man, two more questions, Coach. My man Cassidy says, YB, can you ask Coach what belt you think is the best, and do you respect the IBO champion? Do you respect the IBO belt?
Well, I don't think many people respect the IBO belt because they really don't know who they are, and it's not a credible belt. So no, they don't respect the IBO. And what was the other part of that?
Oh, what's your favorite belt out of the
Oh,
WBC,
no, I
WBA?
mean, I really don't care, man. As long as it's a major belt, you know. I mean, look, I had WBA champions, IBO champion, WBC champion, WBO champion. So, look, all you want to do is win a world title. That's the most important thing.
And my man OTB, who has his own boxing class, Coach, he said where would you rank the great Aaron Pryor amongst the great fighters you've seen?
He's definitely in the top 10, for sure. As a lightweight, I would put him in the top 10 as a lightweight.
Hey, Coach, my man says Cater Plant's looking for a trainer. You got too many guys in and around that division, Coach. I don't know if you could fit him in that gym with Morrell and Charlo, Coach. He
Yeah,
might be too
I don't think
crowded.
that'll work.
And David Stevens too, Coach. You got a lot of great talent in that division and around that division,
Yeah,
Coach.
yeah, I don't think that'll.
Do
I
you
don't
have
think
room
that'll
for
work.
Cater Plant?
I don't think that'll work. I
And
think
one
I
more
have a fight
interesting.
in the gym every day.
Hey, Coach, one more real quick about because you trained David Tua, Mike Tyson, and you trained a lot of heavy hitters, Coach. Who's the hardest puncher that you held the mitts for? Because I always want to know this.
Oh man, tell the truth, I don't know. Let me see. I don't know, man. Tell the truth, because they all hit hard. Everybody hit hard. Um, that's one man. I mean, even yeah, everybody hit hard. Philip can punch. He is really hard too. So, um, I don't know, man. Mike Tyson was strong. He can punch. But so David too also. So did Andrew Galata. I used to do the pads a lot with Andrew Galata. He can punch really hard too. Uh, I used to do the pads with Hakeem Rockman. He can punch really hard also. Michael Moore, he had a good power also. So, man, I can't say exactly which one, but David Tour. David Tour probably had the best left hook I've ever caught from anybody. So on the left hook side, I would have to say David Tour.
All right, Coach. I'm sorry, man. This is the last one. I promise. My man, Uncle Jonathan Simon says, Coach, if you could train one fighter in history of boxing, who would it be?
Well, I've already trained him, and that was Pernell Whitaker.
And do you still talk to Highland Williams?
I don't see him much. I haven't
Okay.
seen him in a while.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, Coach, that's it, man. I really appreciate you for coming on and thank you for gracing the panel. And yeah, Coach, shout out to you and your wonderful wife, and I really appreciate you for doing it, Coach. Thank you.
No problem, man. No problem.
God bless. See you soon, Coach. I'm back in the gym with
All right.
Osvadi.
All right, man.
All right, much love to you, Coach.
You too, man. Have a good.
Man, tell me what y'all thought about my man, Coach Ronnie. Tell me what y'all thought. I'm gonna drop the link. Coach Ronnie, the legend, came through. So y'all let me know. So yeah, man, I'm gonna drop the link. Y'all let me know what y'all think. We had one of the best coaches in the game, bar none. Yeah, man, he gave us a lot of time. So yeah, just let me know and come on, talk to me, man. I really love talking with Coach because he's one of the most knowledgeable guys in the game, and yeah, he's just an awesome guy, and awesome, has an awesome gym, awesome fighters. Everybody's awesome, man. We really appreciate him, and I appreciate him for taking the time out and answering everybody. I tried to get everybody's question. I apologize if. Shout out to Foxy Brown. Yeah, thank you. Shout out to Rissa. Thank you. Everybody being so respectful to Coach. I really appreciate y'all in the chat, man, and it meant a lot to me. Shout out to my man Canes Dre. Shout out to Con Shonery. Shout out to my man Nate Johnson. My man David Gordon says they're a more humble coach than Coach Ronnie. Not many. I never met a guy more humble than Coach Ronnie in the game. My man Hamza Abdullah says dope interview. Here to there says great interview, great show, Coach, and great questions. Yeah, man, it was awesome to have him here, man. It was awesome to for him to open up to everybody, because I feel like people know about who he trained, but sometimes people don't know that this guy had over 250 amateur fights. He fought Charles Mooney. He fought Ray Leonard. He beat Thomas Hearns in the amateurs. People don't know that. He roomed with Aaron Pryor. This guy, the first guy he held the mitts with was Evander Holyfield, Meldrick Taylor. I mean, you look at it and you're like, man, Georgie Benton taught him the shoulder roll, the Philly shell. So you just look at stuff like that. You're like, man, you're talking about. Also, I didn't even get to. The only reason why Mark Breland trained Deontay Wilder was because Ronnie Shields recommended Mark Breland, because he was too busy. He couldn't go to Alabama and train him. So he called Mark Breland and asked him what he do it. That's the reason why Coach Ronnie Shields, that's the only reason why Mark Breland was a trainer for Deontay Wilder. He was the reason why that happened. So people don't even, and he doesn't even brag on that stuff, so he's just he's a piece of history in the game. It's a lot of the trainers like that. And one of my biggest regrets was that I didn't start a channel earlier to be able to talk to guys like Coach Emmanuel Stewart. So I want to be able to talk to Coach Ronnie and people like him, Coach Bosie Ennis in Philadelphia. People like them, man. The great Nacho Barons, the great Nacho. People like that, man. Sugar Hill Stewart, just because his uncle is Emmanuel Stewart, to learn, some of the great, and learn and just learn part of history, some of the great history in the sport. So I just really appreciate it, man. Guys like that. My man OTB, my man Uncle Jay joining the panel, man. Shout out to Coach Ronnie. Shout out to you all too, man, for the great questions, OTB, Uncle Jay, my man Sean. Shout out to y'all.
Man, I had to jump up here and tell you, man, that was a hell of an interview, bro. And as much as you can say that you wish you would have started your channel earlier, yeah, I mean, I second the motions of everybody in the chat, everybody in the YTC community. Bro, we appreciate you, Billy. We appreciate the work you put in, bro. We appreciate you being here. And man, I'm about to ride with you.
Facts. It happens when it happens, and I'm glad it happened.
Man, thanks for my man OTB, bro. Ohio in the building. See that, and that's why I knew you was gonna bring up Aaron Pryor. I knew that was you, bro. I saw the question about the Ohio legend, Aaron Pryor, and y'all have a. Let me tell you something, OTB. Y'all have a legit claim to that Ohio runs boxing stuff. I know I mess with my boy a lot about Ohio runs boxing, but you guys have some of the greatest fighters in the Midwest, period, in the history of the sport. I mean, from Ray Robinson to Joe Lewis to, I mean, how many guys do you need to name?
Charles, man, you name it, bro. You name it.
So Tommy Hearns. I mean, you guys have Aaron Pryor, Floyd Mayweather, James Toney.
Shit, OTB. Y'all even had Kelly Pavlik.
Yeah, Kelly Pavlik. You understand? Hey, she the biggest upset in boxing coming from Buster Douglas. You understand?
Buster Douglas, Columbus, Ohio. That's facts. I forgot about that.
Yeah, like
Ernie Shavers, Ohio guy.
Yeah, Ernie Shavers.
You guys have and then look at the talent that, being in Houston, you got Big Baby Anderson, who's from Ohio, Duke Reagan, who's from Ohio out here, Abdullah Mason, who's from Ohio. These guys are all, with Jay Prince, but he's Troy Isley from Ohio.
I'll go back and give y'all the first one, which was probably Ricardo Williams. You understand? The first one that opened, you understand, Jay Prince to come in to get these athletes. And man, when you say that, bro, like I just got to tell y'all how instrumental that is to have a Jay Prince come and mold these guys along their way throughout their career. When we look at an Adrian Bronner who didn't have anybody to mold his career, who was learning on the fly, you understand? So if anybody out of the Prince camp, you understand, ever tune in, man, we appreciate what you do for our fighters. And we appreciate that, YB. We appreciate your knowledge to know, you understand, how much history that Ohio and the whole Midwest have.
Don King, Al Heyman, bro. You guys have, you guys, Al Heyman and Don King are from the same city, bro. This is insane. You have two of the most instrumental people in as far as putting on the best fights are. And now Al Heyman has the biggest staple in boxing. And then you have Don King, who put on some of the biggest fights in boxing from the same place. It's insane.
Cincinnati with the most Olympians of any city in the world. You understand? Not just in the United States, in the world. We got the most Olympic boxers ever in the world. So when you talk about the history that we really provide, you know what I mean? And I got to give a salute to my big brother Marcus, who started that, because you understand, he unified us. You understand? And that's one thing I can say about Texas. Y'all have always really been unified in the whole. As much as you hear Houston, Dallas, you understand, it's Texas above all. You understand? And we can always appreciate that. So when Big Bro can really unify the history that we have, you understand, as well as the present and the future fighters we have. We just had 10 national champions out of one gym in Cincinnati. You understand? So our history is definitely continuing the tradition, man, and we appreciate it all.
Ohio bred a lot of champions, man, throughout the history of boxing that, they don't speculate on enough. You know what I'm saying? A lot of great fighters and great champs. Sean Porter, he's from Ohio.
Facts.
Cleveland.
Gotta say that. And then I'm gonna give y'all some that's coming when you talk about the likes of Abdullah Mason, a Tiger Johnson, Rashidi Ellis from Ohio. You understand? It's some special talent coming. Duke Reagan, you understand? We all know about Rashid Warren and all of them active fighters, but this next load that's coming, Charles Conwell is in that batch. If y'all don't know, Charles Conwell is gonna be special, man. He's an animal in that ring, and he's really a front foot dominant fighter, but he has an IQ and a willingness to give the fans what they want to see. You understand?
Charles Conwell is a dog. It's the only problem is I think people are sleeping on him because he's with Probellum OTB. I think they kind of don't see him on TV enough yet. And I think once Probellum strikes a major TV deal and you get to see this guy's fighting style and how he's a all action, destroyer in there. This guy is, Charles Conwell is to me one of the dark horses for being who's going to take over 154 when Jamel is done with it. You get what I'm saying? Because this guy, he put on a show on his last fight on Probellum. This guy's a monster. He's a monster.
Barbarian, y'all. Barbarian. For those of us with that masculine energy that just want to see somebody go in there and just slug it out with you, you understand? Charles Conwell is going to be a fighter that you really going to grow to love. So,
OTB, I was high on Ricardo Williams, man. I was high on that guy, man.
Man, Ricardo was special.
Ricardo, I called him Magic Taylor 2.0.
Woo! That's a big claim.
Yeah, man. Ricardo had fast hand. He had speed like Magic Taylor in that ring, man.
Hey, I got a question on the panel. What do you think about the Ohio? What's up, man? Great interview, by the way.
Appreciate you, big bro. What's up with you, man? How you doing, bro?
Beyond great interview, bro. I gotta emphasize that, YB, man. You didn't leave a stone unturned, bro.
Yeah. I like the fact that you try to push as many people's questions as much as possible and made it clear for Ronnie Shields. So that was a great thing, and I love his response.
Love y'all, man. Like if y'all got questions in the chat, bro, and I know Coach Ronnie's first time coming on, I'm not gonna try to be like excessive with his time, but I understand that this is sometimes he's on, like, he may be accessible, but it's hard to get all the questions out with him. You know what I mean? Because it's just hard. So I tried to make sure that even in between, that I could get as many to everybody's question as I could, man. I know he had to go.
The history and the relevancy of right now, you understand, is something that I think you're gonna go back and watch that interview and be like, damn, I just wrapped up over 20 years of boxing with him.
The one thing I wanted to ask Ronnie, but I just didn't want to come across as like passive aggressive or like I don't know the right word, like I'm trying to push his button or nothing. Or push anything, but it's just like it's tough because I'm not in the boxing business. I'm not no trainer or fighter, nothing. Just a person that loves watching boxing. But on the one other hand, it's like he fought some great fighters, some killers. He took risk. He took risk after risk. I would like to understand his philosophy sometimes when he says the thing about Demetrius Andrade. I think Jamal Charlo has a real good chance to beat Andrade. In my opinion, he does get sloppy at times, and he shows late in his fight he can gas, and he can't be caught. And I think Jamal Charlo is a bigger puncher than that guy who was rocking him in his last fight, or the fight before that, actually.
Williams.
Yeah. He was rocking Andrade like 3 times or something like that.
Oh, you talking about Liam Williams? Yeah, that was Andrade's last fight.
No.
That was Quigley Wiggly was his last fight.
Wiggly was,
yeah. So this is my thing, and Coach Ronnie kind of broke it. Of course, they have history. Coach Ronnie and them have history over the Jamel situation. And one thing I'll tell you about Coach Ronnie is he's a proud man. When you spend time with him personally, off air, and you see him in person, this guy doesn't forget anything. And he still hasn't forgot about Lara and Canelo, even if it was a close fight. He still feels like Lara should have been a champion. He felt like Lara should have, won that fight. And it's certain things. And he's still upset with Demetrius. He still feels like Andre had his opportunity with Jamel. And now he feels even more so that Demetrius Andre left the zone and signed with Salida Promotions.
Oh my God, you serious?
Yeah, he signed with Salida Promotions.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so it's crazy right now what's going on with Boo Boo, and he's man.
But
He's like, man, you beg for a fight, and you have and Coach Ronnie told me personally, if you have a mandatory that you're supposed to fight in Johnny Beg, why jump through hoops and not fight this guy? Why go up to
I,
68, get injured, and not reschedule the fight with Zach Parker, and then now you're taking all this time to figure out what you're going to do at 160. So it's a lot going on with Boo Boo right now, and he's a great fighter, and I don't take anything away from him because I love Boo Boo Andre,
I,
but that's just from Coach Ronnie's perspective, I could see where he's at with it.
I got a question. Who is Andrade's manager? Who is this? His father? Is this his father?
Yeah, it's his dad.
Oh
His dad
my
makes a lot of
goodness!
business decisions. So when he came out and
Wow.
signed with Banner Star Promotions, I believe, out the Olympics, his dad was the guy, Mr. Paul. He was, pretty cool with those guys in that region, but they didn't have the TV dates that a major company like Top Rank would have had for him. You get what I mean? So he was always scratching and clawing for viewership, and that's why he got paid less than Jamil Charlo, even though he was the champion, is because of who he was with. And that's why, so Ronnie said, man, once you want to call out Jamil and you don't take the money they're offering and then you don't fight, they look at you as a joke. And Ronnie's an honorable guy. If they sign up to do something and you don't do it, he doesn't respect you. And he doesn't respect you the same. And that's just the type of guy he is. Is it right? That's up to him. I can't speak on it, but that's what I know. And that's what he tells me. And that's why I don't even ask about Boo Boo very much, but I knew the chat was going to, and about Benavidez too. I already knew, I knew because I asked him about Benavidez and Morrell, and of course he answered it to me. But I knew because of the stuff that's been said between Morrell and Benavidez recently, I knew that would be a big question too. But
I got you.
Oh yeah, he's not the biggest Andre fan as you see, and it's not because he don't think that his fighter could beat him. He just he thinks Andre is a capper. Basically, he thinks he's he missed the talk and build himself up and put himself in situations where and then turn down fights because he didn't want to fight a Lara either. So it's certain things like as far as Lara. And that's another guy that
he's done himself no favors.
He said Laura was born.
He doesn't do himself any favors. And he's a great fighter, but he doesn't do himself any favors.
No,
now, the Billy Joe Saunders, that was on Billy Joe. Now, 100%. That was messed up.
100%.
That was messed up.
100%.
Right.
Dirty.
And
no
when you look at him, man, that's the knock that you have on him is that you run to fight the Billy Joe Saunders fight, but you turn down the Laura fight and the Charlo fight.
It's like karma.
So when it comes to accountability, shit, we got to hold Boo Boo accountable.
No, he's embarrassing to himself. Let's have it right. Like I said it before. If you were gonna have a fight with Billy Joe Saunders and he tests positive the way that he did, and then you go to the Canelo Billy Joe Saunders fight and you wear a Billy Joe Saunders tracksuit and t-shirt, are you fucking serious? And then he does it again and calls out Eubank Jr. drunk, standing in the street in front of a camera talking about millions and fans from Luxembourg. The guy, he does very, very strange things, and it doesn't endear the fans to want to see him fight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and too, Sean, he interrupted the, I don't know if it was the first or second fight with Canelo and Triple G. He interrupted that press conference.
Yep, he did, and he was rude to Triple G, and he got his eye socket broken by Canelo.
Press conference as well. Yeah, I mean, we will say that that ain't some shit that it ain't like he just did that to Canelo. Yeah, I mean, he pushed down on Charlo the same way.
He's the same. Yeah. He's looking desperate. I mean, you've got the Yanabek fight. You've got 30 days to accept the Yanabek fight, and you're making a video in the street for Chris Eubank Jr. at the moment that everyone's talking about him facing Conor Benn for $1 million. What are you doing, mate? What are you doing?
Yep.
Like you're not giving anybody anything to really go, do you know what? Really feel for Andre, It's more like stand up, man up. You've been in that division holding that belt since 2017. What the fuck are you doing? Like if Triple G can go to Japan and fight Murata and grab 2 straps, why can't you? If Jamal's sitting there with the other strap, why can't you offer him out? Chris Eubank's been sitting there at the top of that division for over a year. Now you call him out when you know that he's fighting Conor Benn and you've got 30 days for Yanabek. It's just weird behaviour.
Yeah,
It's just weird
I
behavior.
think I'm gonna blame his fathers now that I know he's his manager. It's got to be his pops. It's got to be. That's the one that makes the decision on his behalf, and he's made a lot of career choices that hurt his fan base. I thought the thing with Canelo when he called him out, I know a lot of people thought it was disrespectful, but I liked it. It kind of gave the casual fan base like, all right, who's this guy? But he fumbled it by just disappearing and then getting talked down by Bernard Hopkins on what he needs to do, and he didn't follow up. Bernard Hopkins told him, "You need to
to
start
put some
being more visible."
context on him turning down the first Jermell Charlo fight, y'all. Like, you understand? I think Jamal was supposed to make more than him, and he was the champion at the time.
Jamel was gonna make more than him. Yep.
Yeah, Jermell was gonna make more than him, and he was the champion at the time.
He was
So
gonna make 200,000 more than him. Like, so basically, Mel was gonna get, I think, $500,000, and Andre was getting 250 to 300. Big OT.
Damn.
So you understand? We got to keep an even kill, and I don't know how y'all feel about that, but when I really look at it, 10 years late on that day, I can understand Charlo. I mean, I can understand Boo Boo saying, "I'd be damned if my opponent make more than me and I'm the champion." You understand? But when you look at what he could have done for his career, how would we be talking about Boo Boo if he took that fight then?
There you go. There you go. That's the fact, and it's about and that's why we say we got to differentiate between fighters. Sometimes the way we want to see them and the way they really are. Some are all about business, and some take care of business. Simple as that.
And that's why I feel like people got to be fair all around with every fighter who say, you know what, I'll take the shitty deal to kick his ass and put my name on billboards or fan bases discussions. And you gotta respect them. There's too many fighters that get away with not taking risks and they just sit back and be businessmen. And I agree with that.
I look at Brian Castano's career. He fought Erislandy Lara. And then just build him to get this undisputed fight with Jamel in the division. You went from getting a draw with Erislandy Lara, fighting Teixeira for the other belt, and then ended up fighting twice for undisputed. So he kept building from that situation. He kept building. He never complained. He just kept building.
Facts. And with all due to respect, the Brian Castano and his whole team, y'all won that first fight 117-111 for Jamel Charlo. Was fucking ridiculous. Ain't nobody who watched that fight can say they seen 117-111.
And you seen what that judge said, that pope that said the reason why he had that card? You saw what the fuck he said?
Nah, what'd he say?
He said basically that a lot of people be drinking when they watch the fights. That's his reason. A lot of people be drinking.
So what were you drinking, mate?
He was scared. He was scared he wasn't gonna make it out of there. That fight
what bottle did you finish then, mate? Fucking hell. Some people, they say things, man. They must think afterwards.
And you know what?
I say?
And you know what? I remember it was a fight on, I think it was Showtime. I think it was either early this year, and they basically gave it to another fighter. It was a big robbery, and Jim Gray actually pulled the ref to the side because the ref did something he was supposed to do. Like, I think he stopped the fight, and he asked him why did he stop the fight, and the dude said, "Well, from my point of view, I thought the fight should have been stopped." And he kept asking him why. He just said, "Well, I just thought the fight should have been stopped." I think that needs to happen where they just bring the judges up into the middle of the ring or in the back somewhere, so in case a fan won't try to attack them or something, interview their asses. I don't know why that's not in the rules.
Once their face is out there, fans will attack them in the street. That's the problem. That's the problem, man. They'll be shopping in a supermarket. They'll end up getting a can of beans in the head. Right? That's what will happen. You remember when you gave that scorecard? Outrageous! You're corrupt.
Yeah,
all them things will happen.
Especially somebody who lost a lot of money.
Hey, Nate, let me ask you something about this, man. Because my man Ben Adams has a good question that I wanted, and I feel like everybody's reacting to it today. But it's kind of been these rankings came out about 2 weeks ago, and people are saying why did Thurman how is he now ranked higher than Boots and Virgil Ortiz in the WBC? Because Virgil was ahead of him. People don't realize Virgil was number 1 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Boots was. Boots, I believe, was a little, I think, number 2.
Mm-hmm. So 3 as well in one of them.
Yeah, so Thurman jumped Thurman jumped Virgil Ortiz. And people are thinking, and why do y'all think that is, and why do y'all think that happened? Because
Well,
that's something that I want
That's
to
no
know.
big
I can
deal.
I,
That's
I
no
can
big
answer that.
deal at all.
I can answer that easily because it's business. It's
Yep.
business. We all know that. Thurman's with who? PBC. Earl's
Hmm.
with PBC. They're looking at
That's
a
the
backup.
WBC.
Yeah, Al Heyman's looking at a backup plan of if this Crawford guy don't take this deal, guess
Yep.
what? We got a backup plan, and guess what? It's going to sell to what we want, and maybe not to what Crawford can, but it's still going to sell because Thurman's going to yap his mouth. He's going to talk. He's going to say he's
Yep.
going to do this and that to EJ. He's going to beat him and all this. People going to eat it up, and
Or
and they're going to show us
or
highlights. Go ahead.
or that fight is already made. Or
Oh
that fight is
man,
already made,
that'd
and
be
they
crazy.
putting Keith in position to fight, defeating one of these young dogs that's coming, and we know who's coming. You understand? And you got to look at all of the other sanctioning bodies. They got somebody in each of the WBA who's in position.
Yeah, they're in
Stanionis,
trouble though, aren't they? Right now,
WB,
WBA.
IBF. You understand who's in position? Boots Ennis. So
Yep.
when
Yeah.
you look at all of these other different sanctioning bodies, they're positioning for once these two fight, and all of them straps is up for grabs, and
I
they
think
making sure that
you know what I think. I think that Earl's not gonna fight Boots because I think Al Heyman and Cole are gonna get Earl to fight either Thurman or Stanionis or both. Both of those guys. If they
He
can
doesn't
get
need to
Crawford.
fight
Earl
Stanionis
been
though,
at
does
No,
he?
147
I know.
for 10
I
years.
know.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that they
that's a
You
long
know
time.
he's taking Furman. Furman's the easy route.
Never
Furman's the
missed a weight.
name. Furman's a little bit of money. Furman will get the fuck out and he'll move up to 154 and he'll be
My
pissed
girl
off with the
about to
whole
kill me.
situation.
Salute, y'all. Salute the panel. Salute Y Bizzle. You already know how we rock, Brody. Man,
OTB
hell of an
smashed it.
interview. Great show, y'all. Drop some links while I got some time before my girl snatch me for the night, man. If you ain't supposed to be on, she gonna kill me. But drop some links, man, so I can make sure I support more than just the homie. You feel
Yeah, for
me?
sure. And you drop your link too, OTB man. Subscribe to the homie OTB man.
Yeah, I'll subscribe, man.
Definitely
I'll
lit.
subscribe after this
Boxing
OTB.
class. This is my guy, man. Ohio in the building, and we love Ohio over here, bro. It's
Yeah,
Midwest to the
man.
South. You hear me? Connection.
Feel
I
it.
used to
All the
get.
way, Y Bizzle. Salute everybody. I'm
Salute,
out,
brother,
man.
and bless up to your
Salute, my
wife, man.
brother.
Y'all
Take
have
care,
a
G.
good night, brother.
Facts,
Salute.
facts.
Salute.
Y'all
Hey,
saw the
listen.
tweet. Y'all saw the tweet that EJ put out today.
Yeah, I'm about to post it. Hey, yo, salute, big champ. Salute. Hey, yo,
Salute to the pinnacle.
I got a question
Salute.
for you though. Evans, where you at, Evans?
Come on the panel, FS.
Evans, we looking for you, Evans. What's up, my boy PSC?
What up, Beans? What up, panel?
So
What's
you
going
saw
on?
that tweet,
Hey,
huh,
what's up,
Marv?
yo? How you doing, G?
What's up?
I was going to
What-
tell you, Beans, that's the second time they do that to Virgil.
Women, what happened? What did Earl say?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
all right for Virgil, though. Don't
Let
make that.
me show you. Let me show you.
Oh, go ahead. Go and put it up.
No, go ahead, Uncle Jay. My bad. Go ahead. I just
Earl
want to.
said, I said it in the past, and I mean what I mean. Never. He's talking about Thurman,
Oh damn, man. That
Never.
means he's standing his
Testing,
ground
testing.
on Al Heyman.
and he tweeted that at 5:50 p.m.
That's
Hey,
the tweet right here. That's the tweet right here.
Oh,
When people
okay.
keep saying
Oh
that
damn.
Thurman and that Thurman is next. Keith Thurman said Errol Spence said when I said never, I meant it. That mean I never fight Keith Thurman because he never gave me a shot. Hey, Errol Spence boys, I never give him a fight, and I mean it. And I mean that on everything I stand for. I
Errol
mean
petty,
that.
man. He petty, man.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
petty.
I don't like Keith. I don't like dude. He fake. He a fraud. He a phony, and he never wanted to fight me. Yeah, he a fake. He a fraud, and he a phony.
Oh,
You think
shit,
Earl?
mate.
You think Earl petty for that?
No.
Nah.
Understandable.
No.
Nah.
I respect
do-
a man
do
who's a
to
man
certain-
of his word.
I do to a certain degree, but I mean, that's Errol Spence, man. Him and Keith got it's like the same situation with Jamel and Andre. Like, Jamel has an extreme dislike for him because he said, bro, you already remember when Andre was talking to Jamal, he's like, so when we gonna fight? And Jamel was like, you already had the opportunity with me. You ain't even take the fight, bro. We don't respect you. That's how it is with them. Like certain people,
that's
bro,
what
they
I'm
like
talking about. But go ahead,
certain people
Dwight.
really feel a certain way when they feel like you had the chance. And it's like, and I can't tell somebody how to feel, even though I may not agree with it. But that's how Errol Spence feels. Remember when Errol Spence was, I believe, I remember, I forgot the night, but it was when Floyd Mayweather, Keith Thurman was calling out Floyd, And Floyd said, "I'll fight you if you fight Errol Spence." And from that point, Errol Spence was calling his name. And he was like, and they kept saying, and Keith Thurman, they only like 2 years apart. He kept calling him the kid. He like, well, the kid hasn't done nothing, and and that's what infuriated Errol Spence. So now Errol Spence is like, bro, you a beltless mofo. I'm trying to fight somebody with a belt. If you don't got a belt, then F you, because remember you told me I didn't have no belt. What do I bring to the table? So that's where it's at. And is it right? Is it kind of petty? Yeah, it's petty because Keith Thurman and Errol Spence, whether I want to see it or not, it's still a big fight. Keith Thurman lost to Manny Pacquiao. It's still a big fight. But is it petty? Yeah, it is. But that's how Errol is. Certain fighters, man, they have certain pet peeves that we don't know their personality. So everybody's different. Some people don't like. Some people get mad about certain things, and you like, why are you mad about that? And psychologically,
the full story, right?
That,
we don't know how many times they spoke. We don't know if there was messages sent back and forwards. We don't know how many interviews he's watched where he's getting pissed off more and more. Do you know what I mean? Where he was trying to get something going on and popping, get his name out there, and just to get a little bit of help from somebody else in the industry, and someone's mugging him off. And then the minute that someone's on their way out on their magical carpet ride, they want to have a big fight with him when he can't get the undisputed fight. He can go fuck himself. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I respect a man of his word more than I do of a man who just says words, right? So if Spence is sitting there going, "Nah, I told you never, it's never happening," and they're manoeuvring like this and moving Thurman up through the rankings to make it look like it's going to happen, that's fucking bollocks.
And Sean, that's why.
But that don't even really matter though. None of that really matters because Crawford can't be a mandatory, but anybody else can be a fucking mandatory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether you know what I mean? He's the WBC is showing that he's the highest councilman. He's the most popular right now to be the fucking mandatory. You see what I'm saying? And that's what it is. He could be emotional about it, petty, but
Spence holds 3 belts, so he can just go fuck that.
You get me, Sean? I'm not the one to be able to tell a guy, hey man, this is what you have to do because the guy didn't do it for you. You be the bigger man. I'm not gonna tell a guy that fights for a living to be the bigger man. Look,
if everyone wants to be petty, he holds 3 belts, right?
Be like, hey man, because half of they always tell me, everybody in the gym says, Poachy be like, I'm crazy, right? The people at Coach Ronnie's gym and people in Philly, man, when I go by the gym, they'll be like, yo, it takes a different type of person to fight, right? I was like, yeah. So I was like, so me to tell you to do things the straight and narrow, I would be telling you, I would be guiding you in a different way than how you're wired. So for me, I can't tell you, but I will tell you this. That's why I asked Coach Ronnie, is Errol Spence going to move up to 54 if Bud Crawford doesn't fight him rather than fight Keith Thurman next? And he said fact. So for me, I took that as a clue that Errol Spence really means what he says, because Coach Ronnie's a lot closer to people in this game than he may give off. He's really cool. Because he knows, his fighters, a couple of his fighters sparred Errol Spence for Ugas.
Yeah, they're boys. They're boys, man.
There's videos out there. But his fighters are Errol Spence's sparring partners for the last 2 or 3 camps. So he sends fighters out there all the time. So he talks to, his fighters talk to Errol Spence almost every day. So when he says fact, I really believe that Coach Ronnie has a hunch on a lot of things. That's why, that's why when I heard him say fact, I was like, yeah, he's not fighting Keith Thurman.
Well, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? He holds 3 belts: IBF, WBC, WBA, right? So they move Thurman up in the WBC. He's like, fuck that. He's gonna have Virgil Ortiz or Boots Ennis with the other 2. So it's a lose-lose for him.
He's going to fight Keith Thurman.
I don't like how Keith Thurman skipped Virgil Ortiz.
Stop it, Butch, man.
He shouldn't have skipped Virgil Ortiz in the WBC rankings, in my opinion. Shout out to my man P, because he brought that to my attention.
YB, that's not how it goes. That's not really how it goes. That's not how the rankings go. It's just because you're ranked number 1 or 2, it don't necessarily mean you're gonna get the shot before the next person.
Well,
The 1 and 2 spot, the 1 spot is very sensitive, but every other spot, especially if you don't have like a regional title, you have an easier shot to get a shot to the champion.
Yeah.
As in, you don't have that responsibility when it comes to having a regional title. It's a little more You know what I mean? It you're more like in a line per se, really in a line when you're in the rankings. But so if you notice that, just like how you said, he was number one, Virgil was number one, and then they slid him down. It was in the sense of who's ready right now, who's gonna be next, and who's gonna be ready. And
Yeah,
Virgil, and most likely Virgil would have had to fought for a vacant title. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I don't think he'd have been ready to, you know,
So I my
fight for the.
so my
But they
question
moved
is
him up, right, in the IBF though.
so my question is to the panel, like, who do y'all think if Earl moves up, if it kicks all his belts, who's all gonna get a piece of the title next? WBC, WA, who's each gonna get their piece?
It's easy. Conor Benn's gonna get the WBO. Virgil Ortiz gonna get WBC. Boots Ennis gonna get the IBF, and he's gonna get that. He's gonna do the WBA.
So
Keith Thurman,
basically,
man.
They're gonna have Virgil lined up on the Bud for the WBO, and they got Keith number one in the WBC.
so basically, no unifications. Interesting.
None.
No, of course not.
Can
They
you guys
wouldn't
hear me?
want that to begin. They wouldn't want that to begin with. We can now, man.
Oh, okay.
If you
Cool,
was
cool.
if you was
But
talking
guess
before,
what? Guess what? My man
Errol
Dub is smart.
Errol better not get out no division without fighting Bud, boy. That's what I'm telling you. Errol better he ain't going nowhere without fighting Bud, boy. That's what I'm telling you. You better
Well,
fight Bud next. You
But
better fight Bud
hold on,
next, boy.
Cash. Hold on, Cash. You can't look. This the thing. You can't do that, bro. And this the thing. And the reason why I'm telling you that is if Errol's doing everything he can to make the fight, and this guy doesn't fight him, you can't blame Errol Spence, bro. You
Errol
can't.
Spence, when you say he can do, when you say he's doing everything he can, he ain't doing everything he can. He ain't doing
How
everything
was he
he
not?
can.
How was he not doing everything he can? How was he not?
I told you, boy, I'm on a different vibe. If it's me, I'm taking money out my
You might.
own
It don't
fucking
matter,
pocket
bro. You're not
to
a pro
fight
boxer,
Bud.
Cash. This ain't about you, and that's all. With all due respect, bro. You're not.
Of
You're not
course,
them.
it's not about me, man. Of course. I'm
So
just
so
saying,
what do
you're
you mean?
saying he's doing everything he can. Like, you're
He's
not
doing
doing everything
everything
you
he
can, bro.
can business wise to make the fight, bro. Like this is not a street fight. We ain't
You
finna go
know,
out there and scrap for. We ain't. This ain't a street fight, bro. Everything got to be in alignment to make a fight happen. There's so many
what
different things that go on about it. He
but
took
is
whatever
he
the.
taking money out
Hold
of
on,
his
hold on,
own
hold
pocket?
on, bro. No fighter takes money out their own pocket, bro. What are you
I
talking
don't know.
about?
Innit? Like I said, I'm different. I want greatness. I don't care about none of that shit.
See,
I
but
want
you're
to be
not.
great.
Are you?
He said he
Are
wants
you a champion
undisputed.
right now?
No,
So why are you talking about what you were doing?
no, but you said he's doing everything. So I'm telling you that he's not. That's what I'm saying to you. So don't say he's doing
So
everything.
so is Bud Crawford accepting the deal they offering?
I don't know.
Obviously not. Obviously
Obviously not.
not. So
I
how
know
can you
you
blame
ride
Errol
hard
Spence
though,
for that?
innit? You ride hard with Bud.
YB. That's what I said, innit? If I was Crawford, I'm going to take whatever they fucking give me. But obviously,
Exactly.
I'm not. I'm not Crawford. Like you said,
Exactly.
I'm not a fighter at the moment. I'm not a champion. I'm none of that stuff. So I can't say
I
anything,
take
innit?
I take that deal.
Hold on.
Huh?
What's going on?
Hold on.
Did anybody hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah.
Some madness.
That's why
Absolute madness.
that's what YB was trying to clarify last night when it comes down to negotiations, when it
Who's
comes
negotiating?
down when it comes
Let
Hold
him
down to
on,
finish,
Nate.
bro.
negotiating
Let him finish.
and contracts, and what he was trying to make clear, this is boxing. This is not a team sport. When you got free agents that's participating in a team sport, you basically dealing with that athlete and the ownership. But when you come to professional boxing, it's not just about of course, the boxer got to look out for his best interests. But then when you're dealing with a network, and then you got another fighter that's looking out for his best interests, and then when you get to the negotiating table, it's like, well, I'm fine with I'm fine. I'm signed off on my part, but the other party, he's not pleased, and he's not with what he's being offered, and his stances keep going up and up. So you're looking at the other fighter and saying, well, I'm good with my stance, but he keep going up on his on the side that he wants when it comes to him financially. So when you look at a guy like Garrett Smith, they're like, okay, I agreed on my part, but this other fighter keep going up and up on what he wants. So what that leaves me.
Right.
And Showtime is in the middle, like to say, well, you know what, EJ, you have been with us entirely your professional career. Bud hasn't been with us. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody don't look at loyalty, but you know, you got to factor that in there. This guy been with Showtime. I know he fought some of his fights on Fox, but he's been legit and loyal to this company, and he stood behind everything he said he was gonna do, and he did it. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of who we think is holding up the fight is obvious. You know what I'm saying? It's really obvious, but the way he's getting shitted on and stuff like that, that's unfair, man. It's really unfair. Because he agreed to his part of the fight. He agreed. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not picking or choosing either side or favoring this fighter, but he agreed to his terms when it comes to himself as a fighter. He can't agree to Bud terms. He only could agree to his terms because that's his career. But the other fighter and stuff, he got so many different
variables
terms and what negotiation tactics that he's trying to do and stuff like that. Shit, it's basically hard to make a fight like that. So, you know, what could he do? But he's gonna get the heat for it because the fight is not coming off because he's been fighting on that network. He's been fighting on that black platform, but it's not really his fault. And that's what people need to understand. It's not Spencer's fault. He took care of his ball. He took care of his side. He took care of what Errol Spence needs to take care of. Now it's on Bud and the fans that supports Terence Crawford and stuff. They got to realize they don't want egg in their face because that's basically what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, okay. So my thing is this.
Hello? Can you guys hear me? I got some technical issues. Not trying to cut anybody off. No, what's up, guys? I wanted just to answer your question. I've been sort of waiting to. Yeah, I think it's petty, but yeah, what's up, man? Yeah, I think it's petty, but it happens to like dovetail right into my own like interests because two things. Like as an Errol Spence fan, I actually like his integrity and is willing to take the consequences, even though he's taking an unpopular like route, right? So even if some people did want to see him fight Keith Thurman, he's standing on a square and saying no, and he's willing to take the heat for that whole thing. And it's the same thing that happened when he said, "I'm going this easy route." He caught a lot of flack, and I don't think part of his reputation hasn't recovered from those words, but he still stuck to his words. And to me, he's shown that regardless of what people say, his path was probably a wise choice, right? But in the example that you gave, it was also what I was thinking of when you asked about the petty thing with the Andrade and Charlo. And I feel like, you know, like Big Bro Jonathan was talking about, you know, it's their careers. But at the same time, at 160 pounds, there's so much, there's a real lack of clarity. And nobody's fighting each other at the top of that division. And it seems like his pettiness is actually not just hurting particularly like boxing fans, but his career specifically. So in that circumstance, yeah, I think they're both being petty, but I can.
Hey, Smoke, come right back in, champ. I was trying to give you a time, but I thought it was me. But did y'all hear him choppy too?
Choppy.
Yeah,
Was
man.
he very choppy? Hey, come right back in, Smoke.
Choke
it was
sounding
like
like one smoke book. Sounding like a smoke book.
Hey, but Cassidy, like as a brother between me and you, before we go on, I just look at it like this, man. Right is right, bro. And if Errol Spence and if Bud Crawford were in the same situation, and it was Errol Spence asking for more money, or it was Errol Spence that saying I need this or I need this, and every turn it was something else that he was asking for. As far as now that the fight can actually be made, and they're actually negotiating, because so now if it was a different situation, I really believe that everybody would be killing Errol Spence. You get what I'm saying? So Bud Crawford is holding out, and it's not that I'm saying that it's wrong, but what I'm saying is to blame Errol Spence for Bud Crawford not accepting what PBC is offering, or not PBC, what Showtime is directly offering him, has nothing to do with Errol Spence, especially when I know from a man telling me to my face that it's the same deal that Bud is disagreeing, like the same guaranteed money that Bud is turning down, Errol has agreed to. So it's hard for me to go and disrespect and diss Errol Spence and say, man, fuck him. He doesn't want to fight when he's taking the same amount of guaranteed money that they're offering Bud Crawford right now. So
You're right, Rob. YB, man. My bad. It's just, I want to see. I just want to see the two of them
Is
fight, man.
is the split 80-20?
No,
the split, what Nate? What you say?
Is the split 80-20? Do you know the split?
no.
No, not even close. They wouldn't even be this far in negotiations if the split was 80-20.
I just want to.
Yeah.
So YB. Let me ask you a question. Fact or fiction, fam? Let me ask you a question, fam. So, do you think Errol Spence is going to become undisputed champion? Fact or fiction?
Fact, because I think that Bud Crawford knows this is the biggest money fight he can have, and I think Bud Crawford really believes he could beat Errol Spence Jr. and he's not the money is what he, of course it's the money situation. He wants a 50-50 split cash. But as far as Bud Crawford as a warrior, as a fighter, as a man, bro, I believe everything he says, that he thinks he can knock Errol out, that he believes that he's the best fighter in the world. I believe that about Bud Crawford. Now that's nothing I would ever disrespect Bud on. I think that Bud is getting, and I think that because this is the biggest fight that in their career, I feel like Bud Crawford is doing everything he can to protect his assets. And also it will get Errol Spence more money, because if he gets a higher guarantee, they'll have to give that to Errol too. So I think even then, in the biggest fight of boxing, in his mind, he's like, this is the biggest fight that could be made. And if it's the biggest fight in boxing, give me the biggest money in boxing. You know what I'm saying? Give me the biggest guarantee in the welterweight division. This is the biggest fight in boxing. I understand it. I'm just saying, Errol, so I do believe they'll come to a common ground, Cassidy, and they'll fight. So yeah, fact. I believe it's fact.
It's tough, right? Because Bud knows, even though that EJ's, technically the A side, right, and holds the 3 belts and is with the promotional company and the network and everything, he knows he holds the key for Spence to become undisputed, which is something he hasn't done, where Bud has done it, right? So he knows he's got that ace, and he's playing that ace to the fullest. That's what he's doing, because he knows how much Spence wants that. He's holding out for that. That was his whole goal for all these years. He said he was going to get the rest of the belts. He's going to see Bud, and he's going to go undisputed. That's what he's been saying. So he knows he's got that ace up his sleeve to sit there and demand what he wants to demand for a shot at that belt and undisputed. And clearly Spence wants it.
Caleb Plant used that same leverage with Canelo. Remember, negotiations broke down the first time, multiple times. He was offered a fight with Canelo.
He put the money. He got the money.
Even before Canelo picked up that third belt, with Billy Joe, he was offered to fight on 5, I think, and he was like, "Nah, I don't have enough time for a training camp." Then after that fight, he was going to then after that fight, he was like, "Nah, if I'm not getting 10, I'm not doing that." And then the negotiations fell apart. Then Canelo was going to fight Bivol at 170 or 172 at a catchweight. Remember? Then they ultimately agreed on that $10 million purse, and Caleb Plant got what he wanted, because the leverage is. Bud Crawford knows he's the final puzzle to Errol Spence making history, or himself making history. So Errol Spence cannot be undisputed without Bud Crawford, no matter what.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying to you, YB. That's why I'm saying they have to fold. They have to bend. They have to bend for Errol Spence.
Yeah,
they have to bend for Errol. They have to bend for Errol Spence. If they want
But
Errol
it has
Spence
to make sense.
It has to make sense, but it doesn't have to make sense at the same time.
What do you mean?
How much do they want Errol Spence? To me, do they care about Errol Spence enough to make him undisputed? Is it really about all the money, or is it about Errol Spence become an undisputed champion?
Well, it'd be the same type of thing if we were talking right now, right, about Beterbiev and Bivol fighting for undisputed at light heavyweight, right? What's that generating? There's so many fights out there that are massive for the boxing purist and the boxing fan, but there's a lot of casuals who don't give a fuck. They don't care. So when they look at the numbers of what it's producing, and they sit down at the table and they say, guys, I mean, look what they're offering at the front end. I guarantee they'll be offering exactly what the guys made on the front end and the pay-per-view of their last 2 fights. So they're just asking for a bit of leeway on the back end of the pay-per-view, in the trust that these two teams are promoting this fight. And if they get it at the right time, we've got to be honest, we're coming up to August now. They don't get this fight in the book soon, there's not going to be a date available where people are going to spend big. So they're going to have to sort it out.
So it can anybody point to Bomac maybe being the problem because he's negotiating on behalf of Crawford, right?
Well, no, because I'd imagine Crawford has said, if you don't get this, then I ain't doing it. Because Crawford seems that type of dude, right?
So Bomac has no input. You think?
I think he's representing Crawford's best interest, and Crawford will say, "This is what I want." When they give me what I want, I'll sign it that day. Because otherwise, it would have been signed. Man, how many other fights since we started talking about this fight have been put into the agenda?
But then Bomac told Crawford to pull out the Pacquiao fight.
I don't know what the reason was behind that, though.
Well, they said there was no proof of the money. They said there was no proof of funds, and they didn't know how much. They didn't know where the money was coming from or something. I forgot, man. I don't want to put words in people's mouth. I have to go back and check that. So because of that, I'm not going to lie on Bomac.
I mean, yeah, it seems very strange that all of a sudden you wouldn't trust Bob Arum to come up with money for a fight. It
Well,
seemed
it was
odd.
going to be overseas and somewhere else. Bob Arum wasn't putting up the money on this one, Smith. It was supposed to be overseas in the Middle East, and I forgot what happened. I don't know exactly what happened. I have to go back.
So it wasn't going to be a top ranked promotion.
I don't know. I don't know how it was going to be. I just know that it was going to be in the Middle East, and they were supposed to put up the money. And Bob Arum said they didn't show up the money. That's why after the Kell Brook fight, he did an interview where he answered it, but I forgot the exact answer, and I don't know too much behind it.
Oh, L Dub. Will Earl Spence? Will Earl Spence get in?
Fellas, this is what it is. It has to play out like this. A big fight at this magnitude don't just happen within 3 months, unless everybody's giddy up and ready to go. So it has to build up into next year. It only makes sense to get past these negotiations, which is obviously one-sided, and it has to filter out. You see what I'm saying? And I was hoping that it didn't carry on to next year, but it just seemed like it was just projected that way and shit because of the previous business practice of a la TC. You see what I'm saying? Because if you ain't get a big fight with Pacquiao, and before that, who measures up to a big fight, a big prize fight he's ever been in? So it's gonna be dramatic with these negotiations, and it kind of tripped up everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it seemed like everything is foreign to him, and he really want to know what's all the angles, and you can't really blame him and shit. But but it's obvious it's so one fucking sided, bro. You know what I mean? It's really one sided, man.
If you're Bud and you've been getting $4 million guarantees and you've only done 2 pay-per-views that neither one of them were anything to really write home about, then why would you feel comfortable with the back end in a world?
Smoke, come right back in, bro. You skipped again, big bro.
Hey, yo, Beans, a question for you and the panel. Does Bud Crawford fight this year?
Has to.
Fact or fiction? He has to, man, because that kid from it's 2 guys from Dallas that that are on his bumper. Pause. You know what I'm saying? Pierrot. Yeah. It's the guy from Grand Prairie and the guy from DeSoto that one Errol Spence and one Virgil Ortiz Jr.
You think they're gonna allow Virgil to take that fight? YB?
Hell yeah, they would. Hell yeah, they would. Hell yeah, they would.
He's number 1.
Hey, look, Nate. I don't have any doubt in my mind that Virgil Ortiz, after this McKinson fight, that he would fight Bud Crawford next. I have no doubt in my mind. Like, I feel like because they know that his time at Virgil is a big kid, and so these guys like Boots and Virgil are big kids, and they're also very, very good fighters. So these guys know when you have a guy that's coming off inactivity like Bud, who and he just fought in November. By the time y'all do fight, it'll be damn near the end of the year or early next year. So you have a guy coming off an 18-month layoff at the age of 35. If you can't get him now, when will you get him?
It's a good fight. It's a good fight, but I lean towards Bud Crawford.
I lean towards Bud over everybody, Cash. But I'm saying if you can't get him now, then when will you be ready? Because it's hard to get a
Say
guy
that
like
again,
Bud
YB.
Crawford
Say
on
that
your
again,
resume.
YB. Say that again, YB.
If you can't get him
No,
now,
no. Before that. What did you say?
He leans
it's hard
towards
to get a
Bud.
guy like Bud Crawford on your resume.
You lean towards Bud over everybody, right?
I lean toward Bud over every Like instead of unless his name is Errol.
No. I caught you, guy.
Butch is gonna sound. He's gonna take that. He's gonna clip that. He's gonna
Taking that.
make
Yeah, I'm
videos.
taking that. I caught you. And
Boots
I
Ennis ain't
asked
gonna
him
be my
again
friend no
3
more.
times to make sure.
But look.
I think
Look,
either
Sean,
guy. I
if
think
Boots
either guy
Ennis fight
YB.
Bud next two though, like when Coach Ronnie said what he said that Boots Ennis and Bud would be a fight that he thinks Bud would take. Boots Ennis, that's a bad guy to fight. If you're Bud Crawford, that's a terrible fight for you at this stage. If you don't get a tune up and you go in there with Boots, later this year, and you don't fight Errol Spence and you take a Boots fight, Boots might upset him and knock him out, bro.
All we know, man.
We only get to watch once a year.
He might catch the pound for pound #1 cold and catch him, because anything can happen in boxing, man. You just don't want to. That's a bad fight for him.
Well, this is why no one's fighting, right? Until they see what happens with these top boys.
Yeah.
They want to know what's happening with these belts, man, and they're getting all the fights in that they can. Look at Virgil, he's got Avanesian. Avanesian went and done whatever he did to get the fuck out of that fight, and then he's like, McKinson, I'll take it. Boots, Stanionis. Now Virgil's about to fight. Connor's trying to get a fight in. They're all trying to stay active because they know what's coming. These boys need to sort their shit out. Furman, they've moved up because they don't know if this fight's going to happen or not. These boys need to stay active, no matter if they're at the top or not. The rest are waiting. In the wings, hoping that these belts are going to get dropped, and they're all going to try and pick one up each. Maybe even one guy picks up a couple. Who knows? And then the division's opened up again, and then we're sitting here next year or a year or two, and we're arguing because Boots ain't fighting Virgil. Virgil's not fighting Connor. We start the whole process all over again.
Nah, but you know what? Hey, Sean, the fight that's really likely to happen is going to be Virgil Ortiz and Conor Ben.
I'd say Conor Stanionis will happen before anyone else.
Somebody got some stuff going on, man.
I'd say Ben Stanionis happens before anyone else. I reckon he'll take that route.
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of sucks. We only get to watch once a year some of these fighters.
I want Virgil because look, I'm gonna be honest. I can see Virgil Ortiz
ranked fighter.
AP, I could see Virgil Ortiz fighting in August and fighting before the end of the year too. If he dispatches,
I hope he stays healthy enough.
And also because he's a big boy, they got to keep him. You want to keep a big guy active, man, because you got to keep these guys.
And it's not keep him at the weight.
He's never missed weight in his, as far as that 147. It's just that he's just a big guy. Him and Boots. When you look at these guys in person, if I was managing them, I would get, and Morrell too, and Benavidez too. You want to keep all four of those guys as active as possible. These are big guys. When you see them, you're like, when you see these guys, you're like, how the hell do you make 140? Or how the hell do you make 68? That's what when I see Morrell, I say, how do you make? When I seen Boots, I said, how do you? Because he was at least 175 to 180 when I saw him, and he was working out every day. He was working out every day in the gym, and he was 175.
But that's the difference, man.
Really good snacks, Beans.
My question, I want to ask YB.
The biggest thing for them that keeps them from natural size is always having a fight, and keeping them in the gym. That's what I like what DAZN is doing with Bam, because this is gonna be his third fight since February, man. And
he's looking beastly, mate. He's in the gym all the time. And I said the other day, right, that he's actually got a master's in fitness and personal training, so he can do it himself. Like, he knows how to keep himself at weight. He knows how to hydrate. He knows how to rehydrate. He knows how to do everything himself. So that's why he's always looking in such good shape.
And Virgil was putting pause, between us on Castano and sparring. He dropped him twice in sparring, bro, throughout the camp. So yeah, I mean, this guy Virgil, he can very well hold his own at 54. Him and Boots, I believe, will be great fighters.
I want to ask the panel a question.
Pause there.
Go on, Jonathan.
About this whole situation. If the Spence Crawford don't come off at all, y'all think that EJ before the year is out is going to fight again, but it's going to be at 154?
Yeah.
And if the fight doesn't come off and he moves up, and before the year is out, and he takes a fight at 154 pounds,
Yeah.
which one of the guys you think would be in line for their first world championship fight
For
before the year's up? You got
Stanionis.
Stanionis. You got
Stanionis is actually ahead of Boots as far as who would get the shot first. If Boots, see, people thinking that if people keep thinking that if it's no Bud and EJ next, if EJ stays at 47, the likely guy that would happen is over Thurman would be Stanionis, because he already was paid step aside money. That's what people don't realize. So Thurman is as my man L Dub told me, he's the first in the pecking order who would get the shot. And because the WBA is trying to enforce that, they did that tournament for a reason.
Yep.
And they paid him step aside and allowed Ugas 2 fight Spence, and basically putting him in line. If there's no undisputed fight, then the Stanionis would get the the shot.
Virgil's number one. Virgil's number one.
Yeah, but that's in the WBC. And
that don't matter, YB. He has
no, it's not.
No, I mean WBO. That's the WBO that is still number one in.
No,
the WBA. In the WBA, Stanionis is already mandatory, so the number one, like maybe he would fight him for the belt?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah, it does matter, because those other mandatories haven't been called, because he did that. EJ's last mandatory in the WBC was Danny Garcia. So he that mandatory, even though Keith Thurman moved up to number one, he's not gonna get called before Stanionis. And also in the IBF mandatory hasn't been called. Matter of fact, Boots is gonna fight sometime in October, so that's when Errol was trying to get back in the ring himself. Stanionis was the one that fought on his last card, who doesn't have an opponent yet, and who is the WBA regular champ, who's supposed to fight Errol Spence.
Who's likely to fight? Like if Errol Spence moves up, though, who is Stanionis likely to fight?
Who is Stanionis likely to fight in the WBA? Probably.
Virgil.
That's a tough question.
Why wouldn't Virgil? If you're Virgil and you're Oscar, why wouldn't you fight Keith Thurman?
Because Thurman's number 3, though, isn't he? So
he's number 1 in WBC now. Oh, you're saying Virgil will get a belt right now instead of waiting for the WBC? Because the WBC is still going to be vacant. They're still going to have a championship fight for the WBC. You don't need a mandatory for that.
Well, he's still number 1 after this McKinson fight. He'll still be number 1 in the WBO too, Smoke. So he can go Thurman route, or he can go the Crawford route.
You think he'll? I mean, but if you're Oscar, wouldn't you go the Thurman route?
Hey, Smoke, you I couldn't hear him. Did he mess up with y'all too?
He said if you he said before he left that if you were Oscar, wouldn't you go the Thurman route? And I don't think I would.
If EJ moves up and vacate, who would be in line to fight Stanionis?
Virgil's number 1.
No, because Stanionis would be elevated to the WBA champion, because EJ would leave the division and vacate the belts.
They will make him fight for that, though. They will make him fight.
This is what I'm saying, man.
But who y'all think he would fight?
Virgil, Boots, Keith. Huh? They all need to tangle it up. This is what I'm saying to you. Somehow or some way.
But hold on. Hey, Cash, let Uncle Jay finish his question though. What was you saying, Uncle Jay?
What I'm saying is this: if
I just want to hear.
So y'all saying that if EJ moves up, all the titles he has get vacated. Bud's still gonna have his WBO because he's gonna stay at welterweight. And I asked who would be in line, because Stanionis would be elevated to the full champion if EJ leaves. Who would Stanionis would be in line to fight?
Virgil's number 1, Boots is number 2, Thurman's number 3, Ben's number 4 at this current moment.
So I guarantee you. So how many sanctioning bodies is Virgil number 1 in?
WBO.
2. No, he's BO and WBA? WBA and WBO.
So he could take you don't have to take the Thurman route. He could take Virgil could take the Stanionis route.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was at. Right, and that was really what my question was. Like, if you're Oscar, would you rather take Stanionis or would you rather take Thurman? I feel like Thurman is right for the picking, and it's a bigger fight, and it's a better resume.
Hold on, Ayo.
Yeah.
Hold on.
But y'all explain. Y'all getting it through. If it was Virgil now, because it's not if actual there's a still order, but because Virgil is ranked in so many sanctioning bodies that if all of them get vacated, there's already a champion at the WBA. So if anything, Stanios could give a volunteer to any one of those viable contenders or challenges from Virgil, but Virgil got the option to look at the WBO, but that's if, but I think that's a prime option for him to go at the WBA champion, you know what I mean? Because it will be, because if he fight Keith, you know what I mean, it would be, I think that right there he would try to avoid, but the Staniosis I think is more of a viable option because it's already for the title. You understand what I'm saying? Like
You think Virgil is not ready for Keith?
Not ready?
Because I feel like so like Stanionis is a kind of a high risk and kind of a low reward, and it's still for the same belt. I mean, they're both titles. It's not the same belt, but they're both championship opportunities, right? So like, why wouldn't you go for the big name with the big money who seems vulnerable right now?
I think Virgil want to fight Spence more than anything.
Yeah, but Spence is the one giving up the titles, right? I mean, this is assuming that Spence vacates and moves up.
Yeah, so I think more than anything, he'll go the WBA route more than to fight Keith Thurman. I just had that feeling where, you know.
It seems to me that, like, looking at Top Rank, not Top Rank, sorry, but Golden Boy, they seem to really have a nice relationship with WBC. I don't know, man. It seems to me that Keith Thurman is vulnerable. Maybe you guys think Keith Thurman is still like maybe levels above Virgil. I don't think so. I think Virgil.
Messes Keith up. Now, Smoke, I don't think that. I would favor Virgil right now over Keith, in my opinion. I think the type of body puncher that Virgil Ortiz is, I think he might stop Keith right now. That's just me.
Yeah, it seems like that's a lot more money than Stanionis too.
Now, Smoke and the panel, I want to ask y'all that question. Will Oscar finally be willing to negotiate and deal with a PBC fighter?
He already did. Didn't he already do that? Like, I feel like he has.
Because we don't.
No, I mean, I guess he was already gone for the Caleb Plant fight, right?
Like I said, we don't know what's going to happen with Ronnie and Tank, and we don't know what's going to happen. And we saw what happened with McGear and Charlie.
No, I get you, but wasn't Danny Jacobs still manager with Al when he made the Canelo fight?
Yeah, he was.
Wait. What was the question?
Wasn't Danny Jacobs still represent? Yeah, where Danny Jacobs was. Eddie Hearn was his promoter, but Al Heyman was his manager. Danny Jacobs.
Danny Jacobs? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was.
But the reason why I asked that, you got two. He had two fights that he could have lined up and negotiate with the PBC. We don't know what's going to happen with Tank and Ron. We know what happened with Jamal and Munguia.
I don't think that's an Al Heyman and Oscar De La Hoya thing. I think that's a Golden Boy not having inventory and not trying to risk their golden goose, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all up in the air with Virgil. You see, that's the difference between the IBF and the other sanctioning bodies. The WBO and A and C, they mix and mingle. They can, it's their prerogative to mix and mingle and change up. Where the IBF, where their number 1 and number 2 spot is serious, it's a big deal. Where, like, look, for example, Virgil is number 3 now because he has the second best winning streak behind Virgil. I mean, behind Boots.
Yeah.
But when he was number 1 for WBO, because you seen that it flipped right back around, they put him right back up there. If it was the IBF, he was the number 1 for the IBF, and they say, "You ready?" They'd be like, "Oh, you not ready? Oh, all right," and then they'll just drop him down all the way to the 10th.
The IBF don't play.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But the WBO and the WBC, what I mean? They can, it's their prerogative to say, all right, in their rankings to this date, he's still prominent in our rankings. So, all
Mhm.
right, we're going to put him back at number 1. Just
Yeah.
like how he said, all right, let me get 2 fights in, which the fight is coming up, which will be the second, and he'll be ready for Crawford. So that might be a bigger, you know what I mean? That might be the opportunity, you know what I mean? But it goes multiple ways, especially if
Yeah.
all the titles get vacated, you know. But if all the titles are together, Boots is number 1. Boots will still be
So
number 1.
yeah, I don't like. To me, all that is like wishful thinking. Like it's kind of, I don't even know who IBF or like who Boots is gonna fight for that title. But I don't think anybody like. Yeah, it just don't see like both Virgil and Boots don't seem long, especially given what YB was just talking about. They don't seem long for 147. I don't think they're going like all this like maneuvering and stuff. Like it to me, like I don't know. Like YB said, I got Keith Thurman. I guess if he thinks he's going to, if I'm Keith Thurman, I'm gonna go with the Stanionis fight. But if I'm Oscar, I'm gonna have the zone break the bank and overpay like Mikey Garcia, right? See how they can get this guy to get like basically pay for Virgil to get a great win on his belt on his resume, right? And probably like a spectacular finish, like with like YB's talking about, versus like who if it's not going to be Keith and Virgil, who else would it be?
For me, to whoever promoter has the most favor with any particular sanctioning body.
Yeah, I'm saying I feel like Oscar got a real nice relationship with the WBC. I think that the zone, maybe I don't know what's going on with their budget strings anymore. I don't know if they're willing to spend as freely as they have been in the past, and the indication may be no, that they're not. But this is an opportunity for Golden Boy to have a championship in the glamour division with a young star that in the contract. It seems like should be a kind of a no-brainer for the zone and Golden Boy. The question is just like whether or not they can. It seems like Keith Thurman is on a mercenary mission, and his price is $10 million. The closer they can get to that number, right? It seems like he's willing to jump ship and go for that dough.
See, y'all guys are making good points, and my boy, my man, Big DJ, he says, so if Spence vacates, it's going to be Boots, Virgil, Stanionis, and Bud. Sheesh. And he also said Boots and Virgil are number 1 and 2 in the WBO as well. Yeah, and he says Boots and Virgil are ranked 1 and 3 in the IBF as well. Jeez. Dang.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's just a lot of aspects. I feel like if I'm Keith Thurman, I'm trying to like the Bud fight. Doesn't seem like if you can't get Bud Spence, how the hell you gonna get Bud Thurman?
Hey, my man Eric Johnson says Stanionis beats Virgil. Who agrees with that?
Not me.
Who? Do you think Stanionis beats Virgil? Anybody else on the panel?
It's possible. It's possible.
I'm not thinking he's gonna win. I mean, it's possible he could win, but do you pick him?
Yeah, oh shit, man. That's hard,
That's just a 50-50
Yeah, I think
fight. That's a 50-50 fight, like.
Yeah, I still think Butayev would have beat Stanionis' ass if it wasn't Ramadan. So
fuck that smoke, man. Yeah, forget that.
I mean, like really, I mean, that didn't look like Butayev, and he was still putting hands and feet on that dude, and he looked totally exhausted, drained, dehydrated, hungry. Like it just looked messed up.
I think Stanionis is going to look better. I think he's
going to pick Virgil. If I had to make a pick, I'd take Virgil.
I'm picking Stanionis, man. Fuck that. I'm picking
like to see what I want to. We all want to see how Virgil going to look.
I'm going Virgil, bro. I'm going Virgil.
I'm going Stanionis, man. I don't see
like
Virgil.
Stan too. I
don't see Virgil. I don't see Virgil. I don't see Virgil stopping him, man. I don't see Virgil stopping him. I don't know. I see Stanionis winning by decision or something.
Man.
What I saw in the Butayev fight is that Stanionis don't like it to the body.
Bro, Virgil is a monster. Say that again, Pete, because I want to hear what you got to say on this.
I was agreeing with Smoke that he didn't look like he liked it to the body either, and also even though he fought really well and I thought it was a really close fight, I did think he pulled it off. He got beat up pretty good. Butayev was landing shots on him.
Yeah, and I think Virgil hits harder than Butayev too. I also think Virgil hits harder than Butayev.
So do I, Smoke. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
and I
I
think
can
his
see
jab is.
Virgil stepping up to that WBA shot. I could
Mhm.
really see it. I could see him avoiding Boots at the IBF, which
He
that
ain't really
then
avoiding
they
them
could
because he
bring
got
the
he got three different routes he could take. Ayo, we can't use the word avoid because it's not really avoidance. If he's number one in the WBO and chooses to fight Crawford, or if he's number one in the WBA and chooses to fight Stanionis, it just depends on the route you take because
that's
Boots is number one in the IBF and he's going to get his shot too. So
Yeah, we need to
I
fix.
mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't call it avoidance though. I think we got to change that word. You know what I mean? 'Cause I don't.
but
I mean, no, I think
agree.
that he is. I think he's going to be the least popular guy at the dance, right? Like, I don't think people want him for a dance partner. He's too damn good, and who the hell knows who he is?
Yeah, I get
You
that.
got,
I get that. I get that.
yeah,
But
you got Thurman, who's like, a name and like kind of he's got some name value, cachet, and also he knows how to sell a fight. And then you got Virgil Ortiz, who's the up and comer, who's like the darling. I think that Oscar really wants him to take the fill the gap left by Canelo. I don't think he
Man,
believes in
this
Ryan the way
Bud
he
Spence
believes in
fight
Virgil.
gotta happen. This Bud Spence fight gotta
hey,
happen.
Smoke, come right back in, champ. It's like
Oh,
a
damn.
lot of static.
Yeah.
But
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
All good.
Now, what y'all think Thurman gonna do?
I think Thurman is gonna wait for whatever belt that's available for him. I think Thurman will take whatever routes possible. You get what I mean? For
yeah,
me,
I get what you mean.
Thurman's gonna fight for the and that's not to diss Keith Thurman, but it's just the way that the cookie crumbles with Thurman. He always finds a way to get a belt. I'm telling you, this man gonna get a belt,
Yeah,
and
I think
he's gonna get a belt without fighting the Boots. He's gonna get a belt
yeah.
without fighting. I swear to y'all, I swear. Watch what Thurman does. Watch how he operates. If Spence was to vacate, he'll be a champion immediately.
Yeah.
Well, that is crazy,
I
boy.
agree.
I don't know how he's gonna jump through those holes, boy.
Now here's the
Virgil
Well,
hard
the
Ortiz is
thing.
in front of
WBC
him.
promise. This was
Boots
the
is in
WBC
front of him.
promise
How
because
is
he
that?
never lost the WBC belt. They stripped him of the belt.
Right.
And
That's
it's not
true.
like
Yeah, he
it's not.
never lost it in the ring. That's a fact. Danny and Porter fought for it after he gave it up, but he never lost it.
Here's
But it's
the
not
he
like
has
Of
there's
a
all of
some.
them, he
very
has
good
the most
record,
top level
fellas.
competition. I mean,
He has a
Yeah, but it's
very
not
good
like
record where his opponents don't have a bunch of losses if you run through it. Like,
Yeah, but look at the division, fam. If he wants to get one of them belts, he has to fight a monster. There's no easy route to a belt for Keith Thurman, so he can't get out of this one. He has to fight somebody.
I don't think he have to
Keith
fight a
Thurman looking
monster
for the
right
easy
away.
route right now. I think he'll fight whoever
Butch,
is the
Butch
WBC
nephew, I don't
champion.
think he have to fight a monster right away.
I
I'm
think
saying to you,
Because
all
fighting right now.
I think Boots gonna go the IBF route and become that champion for that sanctioning body. I think Butayev and maybe Virgil gonna fight for the WBA, and Keith Thurman gonna fight for the WBC. Who he's gonna fight, I don't know.
Watch Thurman fight Ugas. Watch it be a guy like Ugas. Or watch it be, I think they
there's
want to
no one
make PBC
else.
wants to make. But yeah, I think PBC wants to make Thurman and Ugas though. They've talked about it, and Ismail Salah says that's the fight that Ugas wants when he gets healthy. And I think watch they make Thurman, because like you said, Uncle Jay and Bud got the WBO. So
And I'm gonna say this, YB. Do y'all think that Bud would ever fight on Showtime or PBC?
he should. For
definitely
me,
not a fight I want to see though.
His
B.
legacy
Virgil,
gonna be damaged around
Virgil,
with.
Boots, and Thurman. That's what I keep seeing. Virgil,
Bud
Boots,
got to
and
fight
Thurman.
on
I'm gonna tell
fight
you right
Spence.
now.
His
Virgil, Boots,
legacy
and
is
Thurman.
damaged.
hold on,
Bud
bro.
got to fight
Hopefully
Spence.
Bud
His
fight
legacy is
this
damaged.
year and defend that title.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised in 2023 if we don't, like I said, if he fights on Showtime for PBC, because you never know what Bud's gonna do.
I don't know what Bud's gonna do.
I wouldn't
Look,
be
me.
surprised if Bud don't fight and unify with Keith Thurman in the new year.
Well, that's the thing. He's not, because you're not going to unify. You have to work with Showtime again.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And that's the thing. Like, what money are they going to be willing to give you? If you want, this the thing. You haven't fought since you fought Porter, so the money ain't gonna get greater later. Like people keep saying, the money gets greater later. The shit ain't gonna get greater later. Like, you're not gonna get more money later. If you don't fight Errol Spence, you're not gonna get more money fighting Thurman. You're not gonna get more money fighting Boots. You're not gonna get more fighting Virgil. So it's just, for me, DAZN didn't even offer Bud a contract. So it's like, with me, I feel like Bud and Spence should happen. This is, for me, it's infuriating to me. It's like it's irritating, and I hope it happens. And I know some people have have dealt with it and been frustrated so long that they don't even care about it. And I'm starting to get to that point, Uncle Jay, where it's like, it's frustrating, man, because, you know, you look at it and it's like, well, where are you going to make more? You're not going to make more money fighting Jamel Charlo, and Jamel Charlo has a fight in January with Tim Tszyu. So that's, you can't even put that into action right away.
And
So
you know what we
Told
discussed
you,
off the record
YB, man. I've
about
been
Jamel
telling
anyway.
y'all, man. I've been telling y'all for fucking months. Like when I came on the show, man. Like he's fucking hustling backwards. Like
I'm-
he's
Hey, bro,
gonna
I still
work
think it
for it.
happens. I still think it
And
happens.
he's tired of proving himself, but he's still gonna put he's
I
gonna put
told
himself in a
y'all
position where he's still gonna be proving himself. And we
you can
gonna
go back and look at H Money's show.
yeah,
Go back and look at Coach's show. I
yeah.
told y'all when they made the damn Barrios fight, if this motherfucker wins that fight, it's gonna fuck up the fucking undisputed fight.
No, it's not, because Spence ain't going to fight him.
Well, when the Barrio fight was announced, the WBC said if he fought Barrio,
Spence is gonna
they'd make
fight
him
him,
the
bro.
number one. That's what
No,
they
he's
crowned
not,
him
bro. No,
in
he's
the fight
not.
was
No,
made.
he's not, bro. I'm
Spence is
telling
gonna
you,
do whatever Al Heyman tells him to do.
bro. Spence, bro. Let me show you something that he dropped today, bro. In response to that shit that people keep talking about, this Thurman fight, bro. Spence said, when I said never, I meant it. Like, bro, Spence ain't budging on that. Y'all could say what y'all want to say. He said, I got one fight at 147. If it ain't undisputed, I'm moving up to 54. And trust me, if there's anybody that's gonna keep their word on that, it's Errol Spence. Like, he is not fighting Keith Thurman. Trust me, he's not fighting the
So
dude,
he's
bro.
gonna say no to
I
Al Heyman.
don't even give a fuck. I don't even give a fuck if he fights him or not.
Al
I'm
Heyman
just
works
saying
for
it's
the
gonna
fighters.
fuck
They
up
don't
the
work for Al
undisputed
Heyman.
fight.
How
That's
is
what
it?
I'm.
How is it effing up the undisputed
How?
fight when?
Al Heyman's the advisor.
Because we're not getting it. I don't
Yes,
think
an
we're getting that
advisor.
fight, bro.
But why
I
is
really
it
don't
Al
think we're getting
Heyman's
that fight.
fault?
Business
Why?
transaction.
Hold
Why is it?
on.
I
Go
really
ahead,
don't
Bang.
think
You
we're
have
getting
to
that
tell him
fight
who
now.
to
I
fight.
really don't think we're getting that fight now. I really don't think we're getting it.
Hold on. Go ahead, Bang. And it's not Al Heyman's fault. It ain't WBC
I'm
fault
just,
for putting Thurman number one. That has nothing to do with why this fight not happening.
Okay.
see, that's what I'm saying. See, that's what I'm saying. First of all, what's up, world? How's everybody? You know what I mean? But
What's up, Bang?
What's up, man?
this, what's up, man? Look, this is what I'm saying. It shouldn't. Why? Like Al Heyman is not even the problem. Like Al Heyman has nothing to do with why this fight not happening, bro. He don't. The only person that got something to do with this fight not happening is Crawford. Respectfully, Crawford, we love you, but you bullshitting. Al Heyman, like, what are we talking about with Al Heyman? He ain't got to fuck with Al Heyman. He can fuck with Showtime and make the shit happen. But he don't want, like, what are we, you know what I'm saying? And as far as Keith Thurman goes with Spence, why is everybody so surprised that Spence saying fuck that man when that man was a champion and Keith Thurman ain't want to fight him? Dog, now we might not get it this year, might not get it next year. So whoop, man, shut up, Keith. Now you out here, we'll rap for food. You holding up signs saying we'll rap for food. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll fight for food or some shit like that. Now you out here begging for fights saying niggas is ducking you. Like, come on, bro. You got one win. I mean, you got one loss and your whole career, it seemed like you got 4-5 losses because of the way that you played your game. You know what I'm saying?
And this ain't no, hey, Bang,
But
this
it's
ain't no
not as
diss to
bad
Keith.
as TC though. It's not as bad as
But hold on, hey, yo, this ain't even no diss to Keith Thurman. Like, for me, I'm not tearing Keith down because he got moved to WBC. I just want to know how that is going to keep the undisputed fight from happening when the unification would trump a mandatory any day of the week. If Bud Crawford and Errol Spence come to an agreement, that ain't going to have nothing to do with why the fight not happening. So for me, and if Errol Spence has told everybody he don't want to fight Keith Thurman, and he keeps saying it, shit, when I saw him in San Antonio, he said, don't ask me about that bum. He said, bro, don't even mention him to me. There's only one fight I want, and I'm going to keep saying it. It's Terence Crawford, or I'm at 54. There's
Did he
nobody
actually call it?
else
Did he
I
actually call
want.
him a bum?
Yes.
I don't know how you can call him a bum, boy. He done everything he did before he did it.
But it don't matter, bro.
But
That's
it
how he
don't
did
matter.
it.
He ain't fought him. It don't even matter.
But,
If he
but,
don't
but,
want
but,
to
but,
fight
You
it
Spence,
can't.
don't
No,
matter what
Errol
he
Spence
said. He
can't call
don't
him a
like the
bum,
guy.
man.
It don't,
Errol
but
Spence
I don't,
can't call him.
okay,
He
Kaz, man.
never had 3
You
belts.
missing Mannix, bro. He basically
He
saying I'm
never
not
had
fighting the dude, bro. You missing the point.
Yeah, but why are you
Like,
saying that? I don't understand, fam. The guy wants to fight you. Go and fight him, fam. I'm on this fight.
why would
I'm
he
on this.
fight him
so
Anyone
over
why
calling
Bud
did
me out, come and
Crawford?
fight me.
Why
That's
would
what
he
I'm
so
fight
on.
why didn't
Crawford?
Keith
Hold on. Why would he fight him over Bud Crawford if you
Beat
keep
Keith
saying
Thurman
Errol
ass.
Spence
What
can't?
was that? There's nothing for his legacy. He beat
But
Keith
hold on,
Thurman
Cap.
ass,
Let me talk to Cassidy, man, because he's contradicting himself. You say Errol Spence shouldn't move nowhere without fighting Terence Crawford, but now you telling him to fight Keith Thurman for what?
Yeah, but you're saying Terence Bud Crawford is holding up the fight. So if he's holding up the fight, go fight Thurman then. Simple.
Bro, then everybody's gonna call Errol Spence a duck and say he didn't want to fight Terence Crawford like you would say.
No, but you're saying that Terence Bud Crawford is holding up the fight. So
I'm
I'm not
saying
going to
that.
call him
Are
a duck.
you saying that? Do you think Terence Crawford's holding up the fight, Cassidy? Don't worry about what I'm saying. Do you think that? Because it's not registering to you what's happening. You can't be real right now.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that I'm
Exactly.
holding up the fight, innit?
YB, he's coming to grips now. He's
no,
starting
he's
to
not.
understand.
No, he's not. So look, hold on, Ayo. Let me talk to my boy, bro. Don't let me get this off. So if Terence Crawford and Errol Spence don't happen and Errol Spence fights Keith Thurman, in your mind, no matter how much money they offered him, no matter how many times they tried to make the fight over the past 2 months, no matter how many times Showtime has said, man, we got to be realistic. We got to be realistic, but we're going to do whatever we can in a realistic sense. If he fights Keith Thurman, you're going to say Errol Spence didn't do everything he could to fight Bud Crawford, so he still can't win for losing.
Nah,
Is
he
that
can
true or
win.
false?
That's false
That's
because
a
he
fact.
can win.
How
That's
can
a
he
fact.
win?
That's a fact.
How can he win? If he fights Keith Thurman without fighting Bud Crawford, you're gonna diss him, bro. And you've been dissing him.
I'm not gonna diss him. I'm gonna diss his management team that's behind him.
Oh my God, bro.
Why don't you just give the money away? They've lost.
Bro,
What I don't understand is they've lost money in the past. So why are they not losing money now? I don't understand.
oh my God.
You
You
lost money in
talking
the past,
crazy.
man. Go and lose it again. Go and lose it again
You talking
for this
crazy.
big fight.
You talking
Give us
crazy,
what we
boy.
want. I'm a paying
You talking
customer. I
crazy.
pay my fucking
Let me
money.
see.
I
Boy,
buy shit. So if I
Some
buy
people,
shit, I need to understand what the product
I'm
I'm buying.
with Kush, man. I'm with Kush. I'm just over the shit. I'm done
Me
with it.
too, I'm over it, bro. But if it was Errol Spence, you wouldn't be over it. Y'all be stomping on him. Oh man, Errol Spence don't want to fight. Errol Spence ducking. He's scared, bro. He asking for $1 million. He asking for $50 million, bro. He don't want to fight. Like if that was Errol
Still
Spence, that's what
thinking
y'all
the
be
fight
saying.
gonna happen because Crawford got to fight him after all
That's
this.
what
He
y'all would
got
be
to fight
saying.
him.
Now that the shoe's on the other foot and it's not Errol Spence for once, everybody can't come to grips with it, man. I'm done with it, bro. I'm
No, but
past up with it.
they're not giving him what the guy wants though.
Bro.
So
Oh
then
my
what?
God, bro.
It's
bro,
not that
you
they don't
tripping,
have it.
man.
They got the money. They just don't
You
want to give
tripping,
him. They
man.
don't want to give it to him.
You
Yeah,
see what I'm
but
saying?
the
See
thing
what
what
I'm
I
saying?
said earlier, but
Hey,
it's still not Errol Spence's fault.
I'm not
that ain't
blaming
got nothing to
nothing.
do
I'm
with
not
either.
blaming Errol Spence. I'm not blaming Errol Spence for nothing.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not
not blaming
blaming
him.
Errol either. I'm not blaming.
I'm
I
blaming
don't
that
think.
monkey. I'm blaming the
I've
monkey, the
never
one that
said
has all the
Errol was
money.
scared of Crawford. I've never said Crawford was scared of Errol. I
Nah,
said
Uncle
it's the
Sheldon,
people
you used to
behind the
say he was
scenes that
ducking.
got problems with the fight. That's what I said.
Back in
And
the
now
day,
I'm
Uncle
done with it.
Sheldon used to say he was ducking it. That's a fact.
Huh?
I'm not blaming Bud either.
I said back in the
I
day,
remember
Uncle
that.
Sheldon used to say he was ducking him. Used to say that.
I
Oh
remember
yeah, I
that.
used to say
I
that.
remember
Yeah,
that,
I said
YB.
that. I said that.
But
Yeah,
Earl
so
already
that
said
I
if he
kept it
had
in
hey,
my
YB.
thinking.
Earl already
YB,
said if
can I
he
ask you
ain't
a
fighting for
question?
undisputed, he going to 54. So
because I
he
used
ain't
to
fight
look,
Keith Thurman. He already
I
said he
can't. I
was.
told
Crawford
everybody
going to
I
fight
used
at
to say
147
that
left.
Bud Crawford, that Errol Spence wanted nothing to do with Bud Crawford, and I admitted that was
Yeah.
false.
Can I ask you a
I
question,
admitted.
YB?
Talk to me. That's false though. That ain't true.
I listen. I'm not getting onto Errol Spence. I want to know why they didn't fight that time he linked him in the hallway. Why didn't they fight then?
Because Bud Crawford
On
was with
top of
Top
him.
Rank, and guess what? Did Top Rank ever offer? Look, this is my thing. If it's two sides to every story, why was there never a contract sent by Bob Arum or Al Heyman? Can we blame both? Can we blame both parties involved?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes.
And
See,
we
just
also
go back.
gotta
No.
look
Let's
at the
hold on.
fact
Hold on.
that Terence Crawford is suing him for not making that fight, for not putting no real effort in making that fight.
Let's go. Let's turn back the clock. The Wilder Fury fight was made, right? What was the biggest reason that fight was made? Does anybody know?
That lawsuit is still in play, bro. So we can't come on, man. We can't do
Which
that,
one?
bro.
The first fight
We
or
Does,
the
can't do that.
does
second
I don't
anybody
know.
know
fight? He had 3 fights.
why the Wilder Fury fights were made? Does anybody know?
I don't.
The first fight,
That fight was already.
fight
That fight
together.
was already. It was because
He
it was
wasn't on top rank for
that
the first
whole
fight. He was on
saga.
top rank for the second.
That whole saga, bro. That whole saga was already in the
Whoa.
making because that first fight wasn't under Top Rank.
Bro. And that's
No, no,
why
no, no. That's not the biggest reason. The biggest reason that fight was made was because both promotional companies shared the risk. Now Bud doesn't
absolutely.
have a promotional company. So now PBC would have to take all of the risk.
that's why people are blaming, and that's what I'm trying to say. It's not that PBC don't want to deal with Bud, and it's not just PBC, because Bud ain't even negotiating with PBC because he's not trying to sign a deal with Al Heyman. So because of that, he's only negotiating with the network, who is assuming all the risk, because the network is who puts up all the money. Hold on, Bang. Let me finish. The network is the one that puts up all the money. The network is the one that assumes all the risk, and the network is the one that puts all the promotion into it. As far as the all accesses, they put money up for all those things that go into it. All the press conferences they cover. So when you look at it, it's for them, because Bud Crawford is on his own. It's like you negotiate with Showtime, and that's why when I was trying to explain guaranteed money to back end, all I was saying is that even a reasonable guarantee like 8 to 10 million, if the fight does well, because of the way that the 90% of the digital buys, these guys will still walk home with over 20 to 25 million a piece after the pay-per-views are counted and tabulated.
Yeah, look at Ray Leonard and Hagler. Ray Leonard walked away with like 14 million, and Hagler walked away with damn near 20. Because of the pay-per-view.
With that being said, with what Billiano just said, with that being said, can we all agree on this panel that we will never say that this is Al Heyman's fault again?
No, it's not Al Heyman's fault.
Because TC ain't even dealing with Adam.
It's not Al Heyman's fault.
I can't say that.
See, because
I'm not saying that. I ain't saying that.
No, because the thing is that when the Fury Wilder fights were made,
said call out.
Top Rank had to pay Fury, and PBC had to pay Wilder, so they shared the risk.
At the end of the day, none of us are involved in the negotiation, so we can't assign blame. At least I want to assign blame.
Somebody call your lawyer. They want to. If they got he handles that. It's like he handles that for you. You know what I'm saying? That's why
even with piracy being a problem, because if they do 500,000, bro, the fighters, my man, Future Reality, yes, because when I talked to Espinoza, he told me straight up that on every digital buy on Showtime, that the fighters split 90% of the revenue on every pay-per-view. So if it's $80 cut and dry, 10%, the network only gets $8 on every buy that the pay-per-view does on every digital buy. So if you're looking at 500,000 pay-per-views on the rough end side, if Bud and Spencer split 90% of that, you're looking at $70 a piece. I mean, it's between down the middle. Let's say they both get $35 on every buy. You multiply that times 500K, bro. They coming home. And plus, Errol Spence is a promoter in this fight. So is Bud Crawford. It would be TBC Promotions. Bud Crawford would get a promoter's check in this fight. So would Errol Spence. It's different streams of revenue that they'll be getting in this fight. That's what Showtime's telling me.
I look at that Fury situation a little different. You know, Fury was coming back to boxing. So pretty much he had to take what he can get for the time being. And fighting Wilder was the option to get him back where he wanted to be and got him over the hump. Because at one time, Fury was sitting at home on his couch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
When I look at these two situations,
when I look at these Spence and Bud, that's a totally different situation than Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. And plus, that's heavyweights. You know.
They both made shit for the first fight. They both made a couple million apiece. But the second fight and the third fight is where they made their money.
And Wilder, even with the 2 or 3 million, they still made over about 10. Even when they took that guarantee, they both made over 10 million the first fight after pay-per-view. So, I mean, for me, and like you said, Uncle Sheldon, they put ESPN and they had Fox, I believe, doing dual promotion.
ESPN, Fox,
two of the biggest networks out there, trying to promote the fight together. I'm just speaking logic. It's not against Bud Crawford.
Right. That's what
I think Bud Crawford is amazing. I think Bud Crawford is special, and I think that he'll fight Errol Spence. I just think it's the principle. He's like, I'm the best fighter in the world. I'm pound for pound number one. I have the last piece of the puzzle. Pay me what I want. Especially when the numbers got released with how much they were offering Canelo to fight Benavidez and Charlo. It's a slap in the face if they're like, well, damn, this is one of the biggest fights in boxing. Why are we getting less than half of what you offered one fighter?
Yeah.
So of course, I can understand in his mindset as well. That's why I'm not disrespecting Bud Crawford or ever. I just say that for me to cast aspersions and put blame on Errol Spence, I feel like that's unfair to him as a fighter because he has nothing to do with what the networks are offering him, and he already agreed to what they're offering him. And so for me, Errol Spence would fight. If they signed up to fight October, Errol Spence would be in camp right now because he already agreed to the terms and what they're offering. He's not tripping on the money. And it's not that nobody's tripping. It's just that he's come to the realization that that's what they're going to offer, and it's not nothing that he's going to say or do to make them offer more. So he's willing to fight, and it's just what it is right now. Sometimes we don't get the biggest fights. It is what it is.
Yep. Okay. Hey, look, Bill. Hey, look out, Bill. Oh, look, check this out. I need it. Can anybody answer me this question? Yeah, Am I talking?
No, you're good.
Yeah. Okay. So look, so let's just say, Crawford continues to not sign this paperwork. What does he do next? Not Spence. What does Crawford do next?
Defend that WBO, maybe against a Virgil Ortiz later in the year, or early next year. I don't know. I mean, move up to 54, get a fight, but but Charlo's fighting Tim Tszyu first, so I don't know what's the
if I was
Boots Ennis or fucking Boots Ennis or Virgil
retire.
for him.
If I can't get the Spence fight, I will retire.
Nah, fuck that. OG show, man. He can't go out like that. He ain't going out like that.
That's what he should do. That's what he should.
Fuck that. And YB, before Bang gets his question answered, man, I want to speak to you about that Canelo Alvarez and this and that deal. Why did they offer that Errol Spence fight to Canelo Alvarez then? And Errol Spence would have took that fight in a heartbeat instead of fighting.
Yeah.
We don't know if he offered them that fight. That's the thing.
And also, that fight wasn't next, right? That was like a second fight. So that was like, that would still be assuming that would still be after the Terence Crawford fight, right?
So Smoke, did they offer the fight to Errol Spence?
It was actually a second or a third fight on the deal. It would have been Benavidez first, then maybe Charlo, then Errol Spence as an option. Between them two, whatever Canelo wants.
Yeah, I thought it was Charlo definitely. I thought it was Charlo definitely, and then Benavidez or Spence. I thought it was like 45 for Charlo, and then 50 or 55 for either Benavidez or Spence.
And this is look, and to Uncle Shelton, to people like my man Uncle D, I'm
sorry, 1 second, YB. Am I still crackling?
No, you better now. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. That's right. Thanks. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, you good, man. We love to hear you, Smoke. You always come with good points.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I just didn't want to ruin the audio. Go ahead. I didn't want to get you. I don't want to get you out of your train of thought too much about it.
I didn't want to disrespect you earlier, man. I hate cutting you off because you always had some good points. Everybody, man. So when you talk, and it was like, man,
it seemed like every time you made a point, you went out.
Like, every time you made a good point, then you were like explaining it too, and then when you got to the biggest explanation, it was just cutting. I said, damn.
Oh shit. Yeah, damn.
The part where you made the most logic, when you were like, why this guy, like about Thurman and Virgil earlier, you were making some great points why Thurman is a good fight for Virgil as far as monetary value and name recognition, because Keith Thurman will have the biggest name out of all those guys that he could fight if Spence moves up and if he can't get the butt. You get what I'm saying? Out of them guys.
Yeah, and he's like floating around this $10 million price tag to whoever listen, apparently. So
right,
whoever gets close to that, it seems like whoever gets as close to that number, like, gonna get Keith Thurman.
Did you guys hear about the card on the 6th?
What about the card on the 6th?
Man, guess who's on the undercard?
Oh, Blair Cobbs and Maurice Hooker. Yeah, I heard.
Yeah,
and guess
Blair,
what?
the Flair, and Maurice.
Guess what?
Against each other, bro. Against each other.
Hey, look, I hope Bud Crawford don't chin me in person, bro, because he watch everything. I hope he don't sock me when I go to the fight. Look, because he gonna be like, bro, you been talking. You know how Bud is.
Okay, thanks.
I just want to.
He gonna be like, bro, you was talking shit about me, man. You heard me. You think I'm holding up the fight? I'm gonna be like, man,
I'm gonna be right there with you, Bill. I'm saying, hey,
listen, I just want to know all those. Listen, if Bud asks for, if Bud prices himself out of this fight, and then fights somebody else, defends the 147-pound title, I want all of those people who said Errol Ducks to turn that same energy towards Bud. I don't like, even if you say, hey, you know what, the network should have come up with it. It's the biggest fight in boxing. The biggest fight in boxing doesn't mean priceless.
Yeah, so
that's a fact. Talk your shit. The black birch sugar.
Hey, so look, when you do it like this, and because Bud and Bomac will be there. Hopefully, man, I'm trying to get credential for that fight. I tried to get Espinoza. I want to talk to Bomac and see what's going on. I hope Bud Crawford don't chin me, bro, because Bud be like, hey, bro. Bud Crawford be like, bro, I heard what you be. Bud Crawford watches. They told me Bud Crawford watched somebody with 100 subs that talk shit about him. So yeah, I heard that. Like, Bud
Right.
Crawford team watch everything, bro. They really do. Bo Mac was like, I heard of you. Like, certain people, bro. Like, some dude I had met that know Bo Mac. He was like, I used to talk shit about Bo Mac. So when I met him, he said, bro, just because you got 500 subs don't mean I ain't never heard of you. I heard what you said about Bud.
Did you hear what he
Bo
said
Mac be
about
on
better
it.
being no? Did you hear what he said about his box career?
Hey, but and I love Bud Crawford. I hope they don't think that I don't like him because of the way that I be going at it with Uncle D and all that stuff. It's not about that. It's just like all love. It's just I be trying to tell people how the numbers work. It's not about me, Cassidy, or you or Uncle Shelton, what we'll take. Because me and you ain't none of us, not trying to speak on nobody's pockets, but I don't think none of us are like 10, $20 million men. Hopefully, if we are, shit, donate something to me. But for me,
If
I
I
can't tell.
was, I would not be talking to you on
No,
the
sir.
phone.
I don't want to pocket watch Uncle Sheldon. I know Uncle Sheldon just got that retirement check and he building houses in LA and he building an apartment complex. I don't want to put him out there. Don't pull up on Uncle Sheldon. Don't ask him for no money. But he got his own apartment complex. He got about 4 or 5 rental properties with that retirement check. But man, look, for us, like I can't really tell, but what to do. But at the same time, I know this is the biggest fight for him. Even though he's already a Hall of Famer, he could do something that no man has ever done. Be undisputed twice and back to back in the 4-belt era. This is that big for Bud Crawford. Like
you know what's bigger on that note? I mean, not on a financial note, but it would be moving up and fighting Charlo and be in a 4th division and also undisputed again. So he got 2 bites at this apple. You got 2 bites at this undisputed thing, and then that is a 4th division, right? It's not as much money, but I just it's still I think a good fight, and and maybe some people may think it's a tougher fight.
I said this: Bud beat Spence and then beat Charlo and undisputed at 3 weight classes. I'll say he the best.
No, we're talking about not getting the Spence fight. No, we're talking about forget Spence. We're saying instead of Spence fighting Charlo, Charlo's still there. It's not as much money, but he's still there, right?
He's moving up after Tenzou.
Hey, wait,
he was to go from 47 to 54 and win the title at 54. It's nothing you can say about him after that.
Bud Crawford is amazing, bro. He's still one of the best fighters I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. In my era,
I understand what you.
No, Errol Spence is
saying.
amazing. Errol Spence is amazing, man. He's an amazing fighter.
And I understand what you're saying. Like he probably does. He probably doesn't fight. He probably doesn't fight Charlo and waits for Charlo to move up and still gets a belt up there, and that still would be like a 4th division, and he's undisputed in 1. It's pretty good. Like if he doesn't want to put himself out there, I just want for people to not just try to skate over the fact how they've been dragging fucking Al Heyman and goddamn Spence through the mud for years behind this dude, and it seems like he never really was trying to make this fucking fight unless it was unless the terms were favorable to him.
To be honest, I think
let's don't just sweep this under the rug and say the guys are too greedy. Like all of a sudden, people are surprised it's a capitalistic endeavor.
I think he was aggressively trying to make the fight until Spence broke Ugas' eye, and then he started having second thoughts.
I don't know what aggressive you can't be aggressively trying to make a fight without ever tending an offer.
Never ever sent it. No offers were sent on either side. But let me get my boy Piro talk. Let me get my boy Piro talk. And the only side that ever sent the offer was the Showtime side. But let me get a what's up with my man P? Talk to me, P. You was hitting me in the back.
Let me restart my shit.
Hey P, I can't hear you. Hey, come right back in, P. And this is the thing. I got love for Bud. I always thought, and look, it could have been. I always said Errol Spence was avoiding that fight. People that know me for real know I used to always be like, man, nobody want to see Bud Crawford. I was like Cassidy. So there's no disrespect, bro. It's all love. I was on that side, but
what do you mean, bro?
Nobody. No, I'm saying I was like you and Kush. I was saying that nobody wanted to see Bud. Everybody's avoiding him. I was like my boy BH. Like that's
how I find that so hard to believe. I swear my life,
bro. Well, you heard Knockout when he came on here. He said me and him had a cuss off about Bud Crawford. Like that's real shit. Like Knockout. Brother, what's his name? Brotherhood Sports. the dude Brotherhood from H Money, me and him had it out about Spence because he was disrespecting Bud. So yeah, bro, it was a time where you couldn't tell me anything about Bud Crawford in a negative way, or I would snap like, bro, Bud Crawford, you talking about the GOAT? You talking about the pound for pound #1, the guy that calling everybody's name and nobody's calling his? So that's how I used to be about Bud, bro. It's just, but when you get presented with new information, you can't stay the same, bro. Because if that's the definition of insanity, to react the same way, even though the circumstances have changed. So if I know something, if I know better, I got to do better. So I can't keep saying the same thing I was saying 2 or 3 years ago when things have evolved and changed in 2 or 3 years. It's not true.
I guess
So
it's hard to separate the fan side from actually what the fighter want for his career as a professional athlete. You know what I'm saying? You gotta separate that fan side, and then we gotta look at Bud as that athlete. You know what I'm saying? We trying to put ourselves in those athletes' shoes, and we're not in their shoes. And like I said before, Bud is a free agent. Normally, when you're a professional athlete, when it comes to negotiating a different contract or a new contract or whatever, normally that's how a professional athlete handles their business when it comes to being a free agent. We might not want to agree with it. We might not like it because we want to actually see him perform as a professional athlete. But in a way, he in his right because he's a free agent. He in his right to ask and demand what he thinks is best for himself and his career, whether we think opposite. Bud is a free agent and he's a professional athlete, and that's how those athletes handle their business in that way.
Hey, my boy Cali down there being messy, bro. He said, hey, bro, he trying to call out me and Smoke, bro. You seen this shit, Smoke? He says, you and Smoke are always on that. Bud is my favorite fighter.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. That's the whole thing. Is like, and I said, that's because Bud is my favorite fighter. But my comments is about all those Bud fans that said Errol was a duck. This has nothing to do with Bud.
Yeah, look,
Here's the thing. I can still watch Bud, be a fan of Bud, have him be my favorite fighter, and say he priced himself out of this fight. It's not all of a sudden I switched to being a Canelo fan. Like I am a Canelo fan. Canelo becomes my favorite fighter, or Devin Haney becomes my favorite fighter. I like Devin Haney a whole bunch, but it's still my favorite fighter. But I can accept the fucking truth for what it is. I don't need to pom for these guys and sugarcoat it because he's my favorite guy. I don't understand you cheerleading fucking guys. I don't get it.
But you hate Dillian White and the Klitschko's though.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you that. That's what my whole point. I'm very upfront about who I don't fucking like. It's not Bud. I actually like this guy a whole lot. Like Dillian White, I don't even like I had a whole lot of hate for Dillian White until he got knocked the fuck out by Povetkin. And now it's just like kind of a funny joke. Right? Like that was the end of my really hate for Dillian White. And I really only didn't like him because of the way he spoke about Luis Ortiz without fighting
him. Fair enough, Small.
And then when he got knocked out by an older man, there's poetic justice. Like, justice happened, so I was good.
Hey, these boys over here, man, come on, bro. See, I can't say that. Bro. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna make Bud off like a non-topic, bro. I'm gonna stop talking anything about Bud. If it's Bud the fighter, bro, I'm not gonna speak on the B word, bro. I'm gonna say it's off limits because
but bro, like they had to systematically eliminate everybody from the equation. Errol signed off to his part. Bud don't want to go to the PBC. They don't have any. This is not Al Heyman. This is between Espinoza and Bud, and they still are trying to blame everybody but fucking Bud.
Nah, right. Bro, you can't say that, bro. Hey, look, this is my thing, though. This is my thing. My boy Callis.
I understand. I understand. I get it.
What Callis said about us, bro. He said we some turncoats. He said we a Trojan horse. He said
so here's the thing.
But Bud is actually my favorite fighter. Come on, he
said. So let me steal man Bud's position for a second. If I'm Bud and I only did 2 fucking pay-per-views in my life, and neither one of them were anything to write home about, of course I'm not going to risk my life and limb for less than my market value. I understand that, but that's a Bud decision. I can still be I can be still a fan of his and say, you know what? The reason why this didn't happen is because Bud overvalued his what his market rate is. So now we didn't get the fight because this guy wanted to be paid in a
overvalue
different.
yourself.
He wanted to be paid in a different manner than the way these guys do business.
What's this overvalued though? What do you
Whatever
overvalue?
he asking for, it seems to be a deal breaker for the wallet. That's what I mean.
My boy got the duck emoji. See, Kush gonna keep Kush be poking
They
at me
got
every
that
day. Too.
fucking money,
That's
man. They got that
my
money.
bro. And look,
Bro,
bro.
they're not running a boxing charity for fucking Bud's greatness. Like, get off the fucking high, bro. This is capitalism. I understand that you're in the UK and you guys are coming, like, you've been socialist for a while. It's a monarch. Bro, we are a machine that makes money, bro.
Don't do the UK stuff, bro.
Hey, B, can you hear me now?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you talk about like run this shit, like give me the fight. You talk about going in their pockets and take a loss for this fucking fight.
Yes.
Bro, this is not a museum, bro. They're not a charity.
Done it again, so do it again.
Right now. You're talking about the public good, like,
bro. Hey, Smoke, this is my cash voice. You lost money before. You can't lose money for Bud.
Yeah, you can't lose money for Bud.
Bro. Yeah,
you
bro.
lost money for Wilder.
You can lose your. Listen, you can spend your money any way you want to spend your money. You can't tell them how to spend their money. The same way that, like,
I'm fucking giving them my money.
Bud,
I'm giving them my fucking money.
But it's not enough. And they told you that your money's not enough. And they told you that your money's not enough. If the car costs, bro, if you're willing to pay $10 if you're willing to pay $10 for a $10,000 car, that's cool that you're willing to pay $10. Guess what? You're 9,990 short.
Can you hear me now, YB?
Yeah, I can hear you, P. Go ahead. What's up? What's up, TBH, my big bro? How you doing?
What's good with it? What's good, YB?
How you doing?
Yeah, it was good. The best young boxing insider out here. Was good with it, channel.
The best boxer out here.
When YB, I'm gonna drop off, brother.
All right, much love to you, P.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you, good interview, bro, and I just want to say it in response to the all the back and forth with Bud and Spence. Like, none of us here are really like in the negotiation room with these guys. So just for me, I mean, I wouldn't speak for anybody else on the panel. I'm not gonna assign blame to anybody because I don't know what's going on. That's just what I'm gonna say. But thanks, fellas. I'll see you guys later.
Hey, P, I respect you 100,000% on it. Much love to you, P. And shout out to Virgil Ortiz, Bam Rodriguez. Bam, bam, bam. I don't give a bam. Bam Rodriguez.
Okay, so I don't understand, like, why. Like, listen, I'm not. Listen, it's really simple. It's like an if-but thing. If but for this thing, we would get this fight. It's not because of Spence we're not getting the fight. It's not because of PBC that we're not getting the fight. You could say that Showtime doesn't have the money for the fight, and that's cool. You could put some blame on them, but Showtime has what they have, and really the last fucking piece of this to make this fight is Spence. I mean, is Bud. I don't understand the reticence for just calling it for the obvious out. Like, why all of a sudden we have to go to cuckoo land? Like, we don't know what the fuck we're watching.
Get the smoke. I got you. Affleck.
Yeah, that's like
there we go. Well, you always said the fight wasn't gonna happen. I hear that. I hear you, TBH. You having a field day. You in hog heaven right now.
No, that bet that you got burn YB. That's gonna burn, fam. That $5 bills is gonna burn YB.
What you say? Who's Affleck, bro? I never heard of him. Who's that?
That $5 bills that you're gonna owe YB is gonna burn YB. That 500 that you're gonna that's gonna burn YB. 500. The fight not happening, man. Oh, shit.
I love y'all, man. But look, like YB said though, like YB said though, like it's not if this was Spence not signing a contract, these Bud fans, they'll drag that man's name through the mud, bro. But now that we know, everybody, like the world knows that Bud is the hold up, they still looking for somebody else to blame. That's crazy to me, bro.
Hey, Bang, if Errol Spence asked for peas and they didn't give Errol Spence what he wanted, there's no way in hell that I'll tell them that it's Errol Spence's fault. I'm going to say the same fucking damn thing. Pay fucking Errol Spence what he wants.
But they get, if Spence don't get what he want, what he think is reasonable for a fourth belt when he already got 3, and he been kicking ass this whole time, selling out Cowboy Stadium and doing big boy pay-per-view numbers and breaking down niggas' faces and shit like that. Hey man, I'm accepting what they giving me. Why do you think we need to take a whole nother year to negotiate what you gonna get, bud? like it's not really that shit don't really make sense. You know what I'm saying? It don't really make sense to me, bro. Like for people to not even understand what's going on here, we got to stop putting the blame on anybody. Like on anybody else besides Bomac and fucking Crawford, bro. Because Bomac is his manager.
This is literally when you believe something past the facts. Like this is what happens when I don't know. This is this delusional. I don't get it. I literally don't understand. Like all of a sudden, when all the fingers are pointing at Bud, now all of a sudden we don't know what's going on, and it's everything but Bud.
Right,
I'm not even mad. Like I can it's the same thing with when Wilder said I'm only want 50-50 from AJ. I could understand at that point Wilder was putting an obstacle for the undisputed fight. I could understand where he was coming from, but I can call it for what it is. Like I'm not so goddamn like a fan of any fighter that I don't see reason or logic or skip facts. I'm not blind to facts.
No, but look, when I asked Espinoza about 50-50, he said the reason why we don't know the split is because the split and stuff is lying because we can't even get past guaranteed money. He said the first offer from Bud, the first demand from Bud was so absurd that we were like, come on, man. And then he said like we didn't even get to the splits, and then we came to counter offer, then back and forth, and then now it's just like that's when I talked to him. He was like, we trying to get the fight done by the end of the month because we want to have a great promotion. We want to do multiple episodes on All Access, and everything he was saying seemed genuine and made sense. I'm not gonna say the guy. I'm not gonna say he's perfect, and I'm not ever gonna be like Espinoza's perfect or anybody in his business is perfect or whoever what they do. But I just know that he was very forthcoming, and people ask me how does he know what's going on? Is because he's the one that is in charge of the budget that they're putting up. So for him, whatever money is being asked, I'm pretty sure he knows what money is being asked more than anybody else because that's Bud Crawford and them are talking straight to him. It's not anybody else. So for me, especially when he didn't want to do business with Al Heyman, they went straight to Showtime and Espinoza. And so for that reason, that's why the split stuff, when he said it's not going to be, if it's not 50-50, it's going to be pretty close. I asked him, I said, how likely is 60-40, 70-30? He told me, if it's not 50-50, it's going to be damn close. So he shot down 60-40 and 70-30. So when people are running with those splits, they didn't even get that far, but he was already shooting it down because he said he knew Bud wouldn't go for that. And he said he shouldn't go for that because he's pound for pound number one, so we want to respect him. In the split too. And so that's where he said I didn't want to do anything to disrespect Bud. So for me, he said because the network want this fight too, because they know that's what Errol Spence wants, and Errol Spence is not content on fighting anybody else right now. He said the only fight he's interested in.
I don't actually understand this logic. Maybe you can help me out. If Bud was like they're talking about the highest paid welterweight and all this stuff, his path to where he is was done by fighting guys for money, and he was paid for all of those fights. Like, why all of a sudden for this fight does he have to put a price tag for all the other fights he's already been paid for? I don't understand this logic for it. It seems to me that every fight has its own economy, and there's a certain part that all of a sudden that your demands, it doesn't make financial sense. And I can understand that he's new to a type of situation that he's not very familiar with when it comes to pay-per-view and the way the Showtime's business model is. And he may not want to do business under those circumstances. That doesn't mean he didn't fucking block the fight. Even if you don't want to blame, even if you can understand Bud's position and you can support his position, he still is the reason why the fight didn't happen.
Yes, you could say he's blocking the fight. That's cool. His reasons for blocking the fight is understandable. The same way Lennox Lewis, or was it Riddick Bowe, they didn't fight. Riddick Bowe sent out an offer to Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis said, fuck that, I ain't fighting you. So then, you get me? They still, to this day, we still call him Chicken Bowl, or, you get me, he ducked Lennox Lewis. The same way if Errol Spence doesn't fight Terence Crawford, everybody is, 89% of people are going to say Errol Spence didn't want to fight him. He ducked. So that's how the way the boxing
There's one other piece missing from that, Butch, and that is Lennox Lewis to this day regrets the fact that he didn't take that offer, that he let his managers talk him out of it.
But he's still the last. Yeah, but we still remember him as the last undisputed heavyweight champion, and we still remember Riddick Bowe.
Yeah. And he still made a gazillion fucking dollars, and Riddick Bowe did not.
Yeah, but you're right on that, Smoke. Where that's what I said. I don't agree what Terence Bud Crawford is doing at the moment when it comes to holding out. That's what I said. If I was him, I'll take the fight, but I'm not him. So we can't speak on what he's gonna do. But like you said, the rest of what he's been doing, it's not making that. You brought up a good point. It doesn't make sense the way he's moving towards this fight when all the rest of the other fights he's been fighting for money. So yeah, you brought up a good point there. That doesn't really make any sense there. But I'm going to try and make sense out of that.
Yeah, so that was the thing, yeah. So me, I can't tell Bud what to do, and I can't tell Spence what to take. I just, if Spence would have had a problem with the money and Bud, then of course. But it's like for me, it's just hardball, and I feel like it's going to end up happening because they can't make more money fighting anybody else but each other right now. I mean, that's the only fight they can make more money than what they can make the money that 20 to 25 million when it's all said and done, bro. Is a retirement check, retirement money, bro. It's
Might be.
good money. Talk to me.
Hey, I mean, with everything that you're saying, I think that this is the end of the line for both of them guys, because at this point, if they don't make this fight happen, it's gonna be their fault. All right, it is what it is. It's gonna be their fault. All right, it's gonna be the promotional company's fault. All right, at the end of the day, if it don't happen, do you think that these guys are gonna step in the ring again?
I can't. Who would Bud Crawford be motivated to fight if it's not for undisputed? You get what I'm saying, historian?
That's what I'm saying.
And who would Errol Spence be motivated to fight? You get what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to fight. I mean, bro, this is the biggest fight that could be made. They kind of, and that's what I was saying yesterday. They kind of need each other, in my opinion. For me, in my opinion, I think they both need each other. Bud doesn't need him as far as he's already cemented Hall of Famer, of course. I'm just saying they both have a piece of history right now. They both will be, whoever wins this fight is the first undisputed 147 pounder in the 4-belt era. They both will be able, whoever wins will be able to do that. And Bud has a chance of being undisputed twice in the 4-belt era. The only male, Carissa Shields has done it, but he would be the only male to have done that. So we have history on the line here as well. And you have two guys that are on the pound for pound list, no matter where you put them at. They're both on the pound for pound list, and we rarely get these matchups, which is why it's so important to me. That's why I love, but that's why I say, bro, I have a lot of respect for both of them. They both are some of the best fighters in the world, but it's just, sometimes we don't get the best fights, and sometimes it's just crazy. It just works like that. Sometimes this is how it is, bro. And it's hard to blame. It's hard to reason why it didn't happen. But for me, like Bivol and Viterbi, if I want them to fight for undisputed, I know they're the two best guys at 75. No offense to Zerto, but they're the only two title holders right now, and I just want to see them mix it up. But shit, bro. Are we going to get that right away? Probably not. Are we going to get MJ versus Fulton, who both have two belts at 122? Probably not, bro. And that's the thing. Like, it could happen. I mean, I don't understand why these things aren't happening. And it's not just because it's Bud and Spence. Those are just like the way that this undisputed wave is happening. When you see that, and it's better when the two guys that have the two guys that have all the belts are actually arguably the best fighters in the division, and you could say that, like Bud Crawford and Spence, bro. Those two guys are the best to me, and I just want to see them mix it up.
This is what pisses me off as well, fam. That's what I'm talking about. These fights should be happening no matter, as in no promotional companies, no money, no nothing should be getting in the way of these fights. These fights should be automatic. That's what I'm saying. They should have Fulton, MJ. It doesn't. What you talk? That's what I said. How are they mixing the sport with this bullshit? How do you separate the two? Like, it's like a symbiote. How do you separate this fuckery from what's actually meant to be going on? I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't fucking get it. It's pissed. That's what I'm saying. It just gets me mad, fam. That's what I just talk about. And I'm talking about the fighters spending their own money. Because if it was me, like I said, and it ain't me, fuck this, man. I'm taking my own money out and just doing this shit myself, man. 'Cause I can't do this. How are promotional companies and these fuckers blocking certain things from happening? It doesn't make sense. But Turviev and Bivol are meant to be fighting next. No fucking Zerto, no fucking Yard, no one. Fulton and MJ are meant to be fighting next. No one else. I don't get it. Like, it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. Like, I don't understand. Why are they sanctioning bodies? Why are they there? Why? I don't get it. How do you separate this shit? Please, somebody.
Hey, I feel you, Butch. I feel you,
Fam, it's
Butch.
painful, fam. I swear down, fam. Why can't we get Spence and Crawford, man?
And Kush is saying this is a good point right here, Kush. He says, I feel like some of y'all are rejoicing at the fact y'all think the fight won't happen. Nah, bro. Yeah, and you know what? Anybody that's rejoicing, like, I told you the fight ain't gonna happen, I hate that on both sides. You get me, Kush? Because like if it, even if it's like, let's say, you know, it does come out and whoever is responsible, and it could be more than one person. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's always two sides to a story, maybe three. But like they say, bro, when you look at it like that, you know, I would be hurt if the fight doesn't happen. Trust me. Like, as much as we argue about this damn fight, if it don't happen, bro, all that wasted energy and breath we put into who's gonna win and who's gonna do this and who all these bets we done made, and bro, talking about beating up in Vegas, all those plans we made. If this fight don't happen, bro, it would be something that, as far as the sport, it would be like a sports tragedy for me. Honestly, like, I don't want to be dramatic, but I would, like, in boxing, it would be, in my era, it would be one of those things that you like Aaron, like, you like, damn, I wish I would have got to see this fight. You know, like, it's a tragedy, bro. It's a tragedy to me.
Yeah, Aaron Pryor, and what's the dude's name? Hawk.
Yeah,
never fighting, and that was horrible. You know. You know, and
we're talking about the Aaron Pryor Sugar Ray fight not happening.
No, he's just using that as a reference, but it's just.
I thought talking about the Aaron Pryor Sugar Ray. I thought that's what the fight.
No, I mean, which, you know, look, Ray Leonard. I mean, look, I'll say this. I mean, at least with that situation, the dude had a detached retina. You know, I mean, that's a different scenario. So I can understand that. But as far as this going on, man, like, this is to me, this is almost to the point where it's like, bro, look, the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather era, that set a precedence for this era that we're seeing now, and these guys ain't even like really remotely even close to how good those guys were, and a lot of boxing fans left boxing or stopped watching boxing because of that fight, because it was so lackluster compared to the hype and the length of time people waiting. When you got guys like Thurman, and I'm just saying, like, just chronologically, Thurman, Spence, Crawford, these guys have been holding up these belts at welterweight and not getting. These guys have never fought each other in the ring, and these guys in their mid 30s, about mid or early to mid 30s, and they're thinking about retiring. This is a horrible precedent, because you gotta think about this. We've got all these young talented fighters like Bam Rodriguez, Alexander Zayas, Jared Anderson, and all these, Devin Haney's. You got all these young guys coming up, right? All these young dudes that it looked like it's going to carry the sport. But you got to understand, if something like this does not come about, I'm going to tell you something. Whatever fans that left or just was disinterested back then, it's going to be more that's going to be disinterested when this thing don't take place. Now, I'm not rooting for this thing not to take place. I'm just not going to be had like I was years ago. In the way these guys are going, the precedent these guys are setting is gonna chip away at the popularity of boxing again, and it's not gonna be pretty.
100% chip away.
Hey,
Fucking
Steven.
boxing. That's why fucking boxing ain't that fucking big, because of dumb shit like this. It doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make any sense, man. Like, I don't get it, fam. Like, that's why YB said, fam. Too much energy, too much time and effort and words of wisdom has been put into this fight, man. The same as what TBH said as well, man. It's gonna be a mad detriment if these guys don't fight. That's gonna be a mad L on boxing. That
all the
them two
style
don't fight, man.
breakdowns. It's like AJ Wilder. That's what I was looking for in my head.
Yeah.
That's the one I was looking for. If AJ Wilder doesn't happen to this day, I'm gonna be upset.
No, but you see this YB, man. It's even the magnitude of that fight, as in like Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. It's the magnitude of that fight. It's even bigger than that AJ and Wilder, because them two. It's just we don't know. Like Errol Spence and Bob, we don't know. Like we don't know. We need to see that fight as fans. If they don't give it, that's why I said fuck the money. Like you have to. All right, cool. Like Smoke said, it's not a charity. You get me, but. Sometimes it's just fuck this shit and give us what we want, man. Because without us, there's nothing. So you might as well make this fight, lose out on some fucking money, and make us happy. And then you're gonna rejuvenate all that money with other big fights, man. Come on, man.
But Butch, I think that gripe should go more toward Crawford than to Showtime, because it's like like how you say, do it for your fans. If you're gonna do it for your fans, we'll take what Showtime offering you and give us what we want.
No, but this is
Because
why I
the bank
can't. But no,
only
what
has
bang bang. This is why I can't do that. This is why I can't do that because Terence Crawford's the one in there getting his fucking faculties fucked up. His face is getting fucked. He's the one that's taking the punches. That's why I can't. He's the only. Are the only two guys that I can't say because they're the ones that are taking the majority of the fuck. Like, someone's getting fucked up in that fight. So you get me?
Right, but somebody's
Right,
also got to
because
pay for it.
Heyman, you know,
There's a reason. There's a reason why Fox is putting on fights and HBO is out of boxing. Like they're not in this to do what you're talking about. They will just get out of the sport.
right.
Man, OD said Joe Cordina versus Raymond Ford is next. That's a hell of a fight, bro. Raymond Ford against Joe Cordina, who just took that belt. That's a hell of a fight, man. I can't wait for that one, OD. Appreciate you dropping
Cordina
that.
gonna bust him up.
Yeah, this is crazy, bro. Joe Cordina's a good fighter, bro. It's a solid fight, but man, it's been great, bro. Love y'all guys, man. Until next time, bro. I appreciate y'all coming on the panel, man. It was great talking to you. I just want to speak some sense, bro. I don't like arguing about another person's money. I'm just trying to make it make sense, bro. I never want to like come at y'all crazy or disrespect nobody, bro. It's all love with me. I love y'all cats, man. Y'all
Hey,
always look out for me.
safe YB for
Great
that
interview,
interview. With that,
YB.
It's
safe
all love,
YB,
YB.
man.
We proud of you, man. Actually,
Fuck
we
that.
understand.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah,
that.
I
Hey,
look
safe
up
YB.
to
Fuck that,
shit.
man.
TBH give
Safe
me
YB,
advice, man.
man.
You know, like dudes
Fuck
like
that,
a
man.
historian like yourself, bro. You give me advice. You the one told me to keep going when I used to hit you up on the DM, like, bro, what man, this shit, man, is a grind. You like, man, don't stop because stuff like that, bro. You always encourage me. My boy Cash encouraged, like Bang, be encouraging Uncle Jay. Smoke,
Yeah.
man, everybody on the panel, man. I can honestly say, I can honestly say everybody on the panel has at least encouraged or supported in their own way. So for me, I'm like, man, bro, like I just appreciate talking to you, man. And I never want to disrespect nobody on the panel, bro. I love all y'all cats, for real. It's a family to me. And
But the thing
shit,
about that,
bro.
What's
YB,
up,
yeah,
if
dude?
it don't,
likewise, man. It's always
if it
love,
don't be
YB.
for us, the fans, to keep the sport rejuvenated, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to do it. If it's not going to be the fighters that's supposed to get in the ring and compete with each other, it got to be somebody. So it got to start with us.
Yeah, man. YB's
Right.
the new YB. He's the new ESPN, man. We're the people that fucking make the sport how it is, man. We're the people that bring the sport alive, man. UFC, boxing, YB. This is the new ESPN, man. Without us, there is nothing. We're the heartbeat. We make this shit run, man. And safe YB for that interview, man. Keep coming with the fucking hard, tough house interviews, man. Ronnie Shields, salute to Ronnie Shields and salute to YB, man. I appreciate that interview, man. The shit that you give us, man. I swear to God, YB, fam. I swear down, man. You get me?
Hey, but it's
Much
all
love,
love, bro.
much
Like I
love.
said, bro. Like with dudes like y'all, man.
No,
It's hard to find people that love boxing like y'all. You get what I'm saying? So for me, it was always hard, bro. Like I always felt like I had to come to the internet to find people to talk boxing. So yeah, bro. Just know that the feeling is, the shit is mutual, bro. I support y'all too. Support my boy BH in his boxing career. Support Cash, whatever you got going. I support my boy Bang because he started his own channel, and you know what I'm saying. So whenever he start, man, make sure y'all look out for Bang's channel.
Yeah, Bang, you didn't let a man know, fam. Bang,
Oh
you
yeah,
ain't
man.
know shit, fam.
Bang got a lot going on right now. You big champ, but when he get everything situated, bro, I'm sure he'll announce it. But I just want to let the cat out the bag.
Yeah.
Support the big bro. So yeah, man.
Yeah,
Everybody on
save
here, man.
nothing TBH, man,
My
with
boy
your career,
Threes,
fam.
my boy Threesy, man.
YB.
He always be like, he always put that YB in the chat, bro. I know when
Oh,
Threes there because he always make that emoji. So shout out to my boy
So you
Threesy.
woke up from the dead, fam.
Shit, I
Shout out
miss
to my
them.
boy Ayo. And Ayo, I got a question for you.
What up,
Where
Playboy?
is Evans? Evans, come on the panel, Evans. Where's Bud Crawford, Evans? What's up with your boy, Evans?
that nigga, that's stupid.
Hey, and then let me tell you something, Cash. That's how much I love y'all in the chat that picked Bud Crawford. I got something to tell you. A PSA. If the fight do get made, don't bet on Bud Crawford. And I'm out on that
Yeah,
note.
yeah. Bring your fucking money.